activists say they want her arrested, saying her accusations that Till whistled at her led to his eventual abduction and gruesome murder in Mississippi back in 1955.
Carolyn Bryant Donham is a fugitive from justice. Carolyn Bryant Donham has ran and hid and ducked from justice long enough. Everywhere we went looking for her and had a solid address on her, Miss Bryant Donham went running and into hiding.
Carolyn Bryant, we have a warrant. What? Is Carolyn Bryant here? Who? Carolyn Bryant Donham. No. No? She killed one of our young kings at 14. He just turned 14. Remember that. That could have been anybody's child.
That's right.
No mother should ever have to bury their child, and nobody should have to deal with that. Black power?
Black power.
Black power.
Black power.
All right. Justice. Justice delayed is justice denied. I see they done brought the police out. Let them see. See they done got the police out for us.
Police, man. Where the cotton is.
It's all good. Come here.
That's all right.
That's all right. That's all right. Black power.
Black power.
From this area, and they have to serve this notice. Read and to serve this notice. This is an eviction notice from the black people in this state. This is an eviction notice and a subpoena to appear. This is the people of North Carolina versus Carolyn Bryant Donham, 8800 Stockbridge Circle. We in here goddamn hide now, see.
If we don't get it,
Shut it down.
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 The next location that we're going to is 4812 Six Forks Road. It's right now. Carolyn Bryant, we have a warrant. What? Is Carolyn Bryant here? Who? Carolyn Bryant Dunham. No. No? Who is that? Zulu Shabazz, the New Black Panther Party, and all the groups that came out here. Everybody. My brother right here. We want to thank him as well. Say again?
Barnett.
John Barnett. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we really want to stick together on this, and we want to not let our foot off the gas. She is wanted.
That's right.
She killed one of our young kings at 14. He just turned 14. Remember that. Anybody's child.
That's right.
No mother should ever have to bury their child, and nobody should have to deal with that. Black power?
Black power.
Black power.
Black power.
All right. Justice.
So I apologize for the neighbors.
Oh, it's not your fault, Tom.
We're going through something.
No, Tom, what can you do?
I'm going to get out of here real soon. I got here. So,
Oh, no, what can you do, Tom? And I don't.
They have now a bunch of kids they recruited. They have been running around.
Oh, no, Tom, we'll make it happen.
That's all right.
Please
Black
mute
power.
yourself.
Black power.
If you know that they've done it, if you know that you are with your when they've done it, you need to speak the truth. You need to allow Raleigh Police Department to execute that arrest warrant in Carolyn Donham. You need to be expedited back to Mississippi, North Carolina. Black power! Black power! Black power! Black power! Black power! We have a statement to make.
everyone, if you can, thank you everyone for coming out today. John, super on that. I found a true healing in the God. They try to start with Attorney Nick Shabazz will be speaking first. Minister Ray, while we're here today, find out whether she's here or not. We'll be serving some papers today. All right. So we're gonna make sure we do that. We're gonna make sure we do that today. I was introduced to the case in more detail. There's a great man beside me, Attorney Shabazz. He wants more in detail. I heard about the stories. My mom told me about them. My dad told me about them. But he gave me more details about what was going on in reference to this arrest warrant. Now, there's questions whether she's here or not. Well, guess what? There's a lot of warrants. I'm getting into all the legal questions on that. But there's a lot of people that have pending warrants out there. And those warrants will sit until they serve. So if she's not here, we will find her. Is that all right?
Yes,
Is that
sir.
all right?
Black power.
And I'm going to close in saying this. This will be multiple demonstrations that we'll be doing. I'll be contacting local pastors to open up their church doors for justice rally. One of my mentors, Mr. Reverend Sharpton, type, do mobilization inside that particular church. Go on YouTube, you see Malcolm X, Dr. King, you see him inside church, mobilizing our people first. All right? Fifth step of civil rights is direct action. Right now, we're in negotiation mode. Trying to put pressure on Mississippi to make sure they execute that warrant so that she can be taken from Raleigh to Mississippi. Is that all right? Yes, sir. So next, I'm gonna have an attorney who has all the legal information. We have some papers that's going to be serving today. But I want to make sure I let you all know this is a very powerful man beside me. I appreciate his love, his honesty, his genuine conversation. Right now, we're no longer delay. Introduce to your attorney, Malik, who will go with the black lawyers, court justice. What do we want?
Justice.
And when must we have it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
And when must we have it?
Now.
Black power.
Black power.
Black power.
Black power.
What do we want?
Justice.
When must we have it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
When must we have it?
Now.
We are here after a long, long time. 70 years to be exact. Carolyn Bryant Donham is a fugitive from justice. Carolyn Bryant Donham has ran and hid and ducked from justice long enough. The blood of Emmett Till, the gruesome, desecrated, horrific body, the sacred body of Emmett Till. Justice has not been done since August of 1955. In August of 1955, at that time, she lied. Carolyn lied. She did what?
Lied.
She lied on Emmett Till. And her lies and her conspiring with her husband led to the gruesome death of Emmett Till, whose death was a major spark behind the entire civil rights movement. And she has ducked for years and she has hidden for years until we have discovered just last week that there was an actual arrest warrant issued for her at that time.
Mm-hmm.
That there was what issued?
Arrest warrant.
What was it?
Arrest warrant.
And has that arrest been made?
No.
And has that arrest been made?
No.
Now we have to see whether the warrant is for kidnapping or murder. But we know right now that she lied on that witness stand years ago and lied on that witness stand where the two killers actually went free, one her husband, the other one his half-brother. Bottom line to it is we are after justice against Carolyn Bryant Donham. We are after justice for her in this case. And we believe all of our information says that she is behind this door where we're about to go right now. All of our information says that she's there and behind this door. And we have another location very nearby
that where we believe that she is at. I'm standing here with Mr. John Barnett, a national civil rights leader based in North Carolina. I'm standing in here with the leader of the original Black Panthers, one of the strongest young leaders in the country, Brother Mike Payne. I'm here with the brothers and sisters from this area in this state. They have asked me to serve this notice, to read and to serve this notice. This is an eviction notice from the Black people in this state. This is an eviction notice and a subpoena to appeal. This is the people of North Carolina versus Carol and Bryant Dunham, 8800 Stockbridge Circle, Raleigh, North Carolina. That's where we are. We're at the doorstep of the false accuser and the conspirator in the kidnapping and the murder of Brother Emmett Till, one of the greatest and most historic figures in our history. Should she be allowed to get away with this?
No.
Should she be allowed to get away with her part in his murder?
No.
Has justice been done?
No.
Should Mississippi do justice?
Yes.
Must Mississippi execute this warrant?
Yes.
Should Carolina allow her in this state?
No.
Do you want her in this state?
No.
Let's read the eviction notice. Take your time. Whereas eviction notice and subpoena. We on the trail. This is just the beginning. We got her by the toe and we won't let her go. Whereas it has been found that Carol and Bryant Dunham falsely accused one, Emmett Till, of acts which ultimately led to his gruesome death in August 1955. Whereas a warrant was for Carol and Bryant Dunham's arrest by LaFleur County, Mississippi, but yet such warrant has not been served. Whereas Miss Bryant Dunham's husband and brother did in fact kill and murder Emmett Till, and her role is not yet known. We, the people of North Carolina, they asked me to read this as a lawyer and as an attorney on behalf of Black Lawyers for Justice and the new Black Panther Party. They say we, the people of North Carolina, and we as Black people, on behalf of the family of Emmett Till, hereby announce that you shall be formally evicted from the state of North Carolina, as you are an undesirable person of ill repute. Yes, sir. We say she's evicted, is that right?
Yes.
What?
Evicted.
Say what?
Evicted.
Are you going to allow her to reside peacefully in this state?
No.
Will you allow her any peace in this state?
No.
As long as there's no justice.
No.
Can she run from you?
No.
Can she hide from you?
No.
Does it matter to you that she's 87 years old?
No.
Hotep, good evening, family. I'm Dashawn Farad. Welcome to the Black Panther Liberation School's Monday night class. For those of you who may not be familiar with this class or this broadcast,
Oh, no. Oh, sir, this is Attorney Shabazz News. Let's go.
Oh, I'm very sorry. Yes, welcome to, pardon me for the error of going by previous instructions. Welcome to Chairman Attorney Malik, Attorney Dr. Malik Zulu Shabazz News. For those of you who may not know his background, he is the founder of Black Lawyers for Justice and the national chairman of the new Black Panther Party for Self-Defense. Both organizations are based in the Washington, D.C. area. I'm Dashawn Farad. Tonight, I'm going to be speaking with him and Dr. Cornell West, as well as Priscilla Stewart, who is the cousin of Emmett Till. Sterling, pardon me. Patricia, excuse me. I'm very sorry about that.
Just leave it to me, brother. Leave that part to me.
Yes, definitely. Pardon me. I didn't mean to mess up her name. We're going to be speaking with them tonight regarding the case of Emmett Till, as well as the case of Jalen Walker, 25-year-old Black man who was killed on June 27th in Akron, Ohio by police. He was shot at over 90 times. 60 out of those 90 bullets that went into him. There have been protests, rebellions since that time. Nearly 2 weeks ago in Jackson, Mississippi, while some investigators involved in the case of Emmett Till were investigating a courthouse, they found an unissued warrant for Carolyn Bryant Dunham, the white woman who accused Emmett Till in 1955 of shouting at her or whistling at her, which eventually led to his lynching, his kidnapping and his lynching. The warrant charges her with being involved with that. It was found, once again, nearly 2 weeks ago on June 7th, attorney Malik Zulu Shabazz, as well as activists and supporters in Raleigh, North Carolina, had tracked her down to her last known residence to serve her the warrant. Okay, so we're going to be speaking about that tonight. We're going to be speaking with that tonight. We're going to be speaking with attorney Shabazz. For those of you who may not be aware, that maneuver or that them serving the unserved warrant to Dunham actually went viral on the internet. Several sites, white and black, have picked it up. Definitely we in black media, we've picked it up. So we're going to be speaking for now with attorney Shabazz about that. Welcome, sir.
Okay, brother. Yeah, sorry about cutting in on you, but we just got to get right down to business. It's my honor. I think we have Dr. Cornell West on.
Oh, definitely. And of course, later we're going to be joined with Priscilla Stewart, who's over the she's with.
Hey, brother Farad, let me handle her name, brother. Her name is not Stewart, my friend.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sterling. Sorry about that, Sterling.
All you have to do is just say the Emmett Till family will be on with us. That's all you need to do right now.
Okay, definitely. Is Dr. West is Dr. West with us now?
Indeed. Okay, can you hear me all right?
Welcome, Dr. West. We want to join. We want to welcome to our platform, intellectual scholar, activist, all around bad man, author of many books, Dr. Cornell West. Welcome, Brother West, or Dr. West.
Oh, thank you, my dear brother Deshaun. And it's always a blessing to set eyes on Brother Malik.
Definitely.
Hey, he's strong. He on fire. He's a freedom fighter from his heart, mind, and soul. He's been consistent over the years. And he and I must go back, 25, 30? Howard University, undergrad, Howard University Law School. I forget which year it was, though, brother.
Right. That's right. It's at least looking like 1994, brother. That's 28 years.
28 years. And we all three of us still here, and we're still swinging. We still swing.
That's right. That's right.
We're going to get right to it. First of all, I want to start with you, attorney Shabazz. Okay, the maneuver that you did on July 7th in Raleigh, North Carolina. Okay, as we said at the beginning of the broadcast, it went viral. What is the step forward after this? And how would you respond to people that would say, well, you know what, Dunham is 80 years old. Is it even worth it?
Well, I think we need to get some backdrop here on what's happening here first. What's happening is that there is a severe wound that has been occurred amongst our people and our nation and our race. It's occurred since 1955, and that is the fact that justice has not been done for the murder of Emmett Till. And brother, Emmett Till is a martyr. Emmett Till is the key martyr behind the entire civil rights movement, which of course is part of the spark and of the revolt behind the Black Power movement. It's key to our struggle. So there's a murder in which injustice has been done, and white men have gotten away with murdering this martyr, and that there's one person left who was involved. Her name is Carolyn Bryant, now Carolyn Bryant Dunham. She's 87 years old, and she is the person that has falsely accused Brother Emmett Till of sexually assaulting her. And she is the woman that is intricately involved in his murder. And it was recently discovered in the LaFleur County courthouse, this warrant here that we may get into later. This warrant was discovered for her arrest, and it was never served, and she was never arrested. She was treated with kid gloves, allowed to testify in secret at the trial, and she has basically been babied and protected, and she has not been brought to justice. And to conclude and open up, So last week was about our community. It was about the people in North Carolina, led by civil rights leader John Barnett, other strong brothers like Mike Payne and the other members of the Panther Party, Crystal, Imamu, Major Black, all of the others that came, Huey P. Newton Gun Club came, all of them. And it was about the community saying that we are not going to allow the murderers of our martyrs to reside in peace here, that we will make it plain that we want this warrant. We want this warrant executed. We want her arrested, and that the community is going to take action, that I, as a responsible person, as a lawyer, as a man in the Black community, that I would take action. And that's what the actions was about. It was about putting the pressure in the spotlight so she can be taken off the street, put on trial, and that this massive injustice would be exposed.
Okay, but I'm going to ask you now your expert opinion as an attorney. Does the prosecution, or can the prosecution have a case?
Yes, they can have a case. There's no statute of limitations on murder. There was a grand jury a few years ago that attempted to indict her for manslaughter. It was poorly handled. Yes, there's a case. There's a couple of cases. We'll get further into it. Yes, this is a case that can go to trial, and we're not hesitant to the fact that she's 87 years old. We point out all the time that they had no problem hauling Bill Cosby off to prison at 83 years old. So let me allow Dr. West to weigh in, but those are some basic facts of why we're here. We're just here to get justice, and we're here to, this case has never had the full attention of our nation behind it to get on it and not let up off of it in a legal and a political and a way where everybody will be on top of it and stay on it till justice is done. That's why I'm here. And I want to hear what my brother, Dr. Cornell.
Definitely, Dr. West, your take.
Yeah. Well, you know, I want to put this in the context of the 400-year war against Black people that has been operating. And I think it's very important. You know, Malcolm's last speech that he gave February 16th, 1965, and it was in Rochester, New York. He said, we have to be honest and candid about our situation. There's been a 400-year war against Black people, and we have always resisted. We have always had fighters. We have always had those who are willing to render accountable those who are engaged in the various assaults and attacks on us. And so when you look at 1955, this is a particular moment in this 400-year war against Black people. And so the question becomes, how do we talk about this in terms of justice? How do we talk about this in terms of accountability? And most importantly, how do we talk about this in terms of Black dignity? Black dignity. So in this particular case, there's no doubt that Emmett Till, as Brother Malik rightly says, you know, he's one of the great martyrs. Now, of course, Brother Emmett is one among thousands and thousands and thousands of Black people who have been mercilessly killed. And the Till family is a family of Black nobility.
That's right.
Because they picked up on his death and didn't allow the Tallahatchie Bridge, where his precious body was dropped, to have the last word. The fighting went on. That's Mamie Till. You know, what did Mamie Till say in Chicago, the Roberts Temple Church of God in Christ in August 1955? I don't have a minute to hate. I will pursue justice for the rest of my life. So when I see Brother Malik doing what he's doing, I see him saying, we are pursuing justice. We are pursuing accountability. We are in a war, and when our martyrs are forgotten, it weakens our spirit. When our martyrs are remembered, it strengthens our spirit, because we will never, ever, ever forget precious Emmett Till. This ain't got nothing to do with hate, ain't got nothing to do with revenge, ain't got nothing to do with retaliation. We're talking about moral and spiritual principles of justice and accountability that are grounded in our love of Black people.
That's
our
right.
Affirmation of Black dignity, our affirmation of Black humanity. I think that's what Malcolm was talking about in February 16th, in 1965. And that is the same tradition that I see Brother Malik trying to keep alive in terms of this struggle for justice. And that's what me and Brother Malik come together. I mean, a lot of people surprised me and Brother Malik spend as much time as we do. I love my brother.
Love you too,
when
sir.
I see him on fire, fighting for justice, in love with Black people, I'm with him across the board. Now, whatever disagreements we have, okay, we're going to deal with that too, that's fine. But the point is, when we marching together in Cleveland, when we at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C., I wish I could be there in John Coltrane's North Carolina and stand next to this struggle for justice. I would be there with my brother Malik.
Okay, so now we're going to move the discussion further. Okay, we're going to connect this next case, of course, with Emmett Till. Now, you brothers, of course, we're well aware of what happened on June. You mentioned Cleveland, Dr. West. Both of you brothers are well aware of what took place on June 27, the killing of Jalen Walker. Shot at 90 times, actually shot 60 times is what killed him, okay? After all this time, with all the strides that we have made as African Americans, why do you both feel that we seem to keep being shot down, or I would say modern day lynched, if you would, because that's what that was with Jalen Walker. It was a modern day lynching. And we keep seeing this more and more. I want to get you brothers' perspectives on this. Why, after having our first Black president, if you would, why are we still going through this in 2022? That's the main question that a lot of our people are asking.
Because of who we are, my brother. Because of who we are. We are hated people. We are chosen people. We are a very special people. We are unique people, but we are a people that have been brought into slavery in America. We are a people that have endured the worst Holocaust of any people of any time. We are a people that have suffered everything that we've gone through in America has been different than everybody else in America. And that's why everything that we're going through now is different. Why are we still fighting 67 years later to have someone prosecuted for this obvious gruesome murder? So I think it's because of who we are, brother. And unfortunately, racial hatred, prejudice, bigotry, and where murder is used to kill our people and people that whites and white supremacy doesn't like. That's a reality. It continues to go on, and it's going to continue to go on. It's not going to stop. Unfortunately, I have to say that there will be more Walkers, that there are going to be more Emmett Tills, but I'm guaranteeing you there's going to be more fight and more fight back out of us. All right, we're going to be in a fight. The people that passed before me, that Dr. West mentioned, Honorable Malcolm X, Dr. Martin Luther King, and everyone else that passed before us, they passed through a similar set of circumstances, and we can expect no less, and we can expect to fight no less.
Dr. West?
No, I think Brother Malik hit the nail on the head. One thing I would add, though, is that when you're in the middle of a war, you can't give people the sense that somehow you're just playing checkers or you're playing chess. So that the crisis of Black leadership and the conformity and the complacency and even the cowardliness of much of Black leadership must also be highlighted in terms of this fight. That is to say, the thing that the accountability of Emmett Till, this is something that should have been going on a long time ago. If we had strong Black leadership, we'd have, this would be an isolated thing with Malik and the others got to go out there by themselves, you see? So that when you talk about the Black president, we talk about Black governors, talk about Black mayors, you can talk about Black many Black lawyers, Black professors, Black doctors. We got too much cowardliness among our Black leadership class that doesn't want to tell the truth about the depth of Black suffering or the depth of Black resistance.
Right.
And so that's the only dimension I would add, because when you're in a war, there's always a balance of forces. There's always going to be courageous Black people who love Black people enough to live and die for Black people. The question is, how thick will the ranks be? And if the ranks are not as thick as they ought to be, then you're going to have folk who are selling out. You're going to have folk who are well adjusted to injustice. You're going to have folk who are well adapted to a status quo that's putting Black folk down. And we got too many Black spokespersons and too many Black leaders who are well adjusted to the unjust situation, often for personal gain. They just scared, they intimidated, they're afraid, they don't want to speak the truth because they got other things they're concerned about. And we have to be honest about that as one factor among others when we're talking about what it's like to be in this war.
Now, you know, Dr. West, Dr. West, it's very interesting. You spoke about Black leadership. You know, it's something that our old friend, Dr. Glenn Ford, will refer to as the Black Misleadership class.
Yeah,
now,
Glenn, love that, brother. Love that, brother.
Black Agenda Report. Now, Dr. West, a decade ago, and even I would say less than a decade ago, you were catching hell for what you're saying now. Okay, because of course you put Obama in that category, but what I'm noticing is that there are more and more African Americans that are actually sharing your thoughts concerning the Black Misleadership class. I'm actually noticing that. But you caught, you know, we all know that people literally within the Black community tried to trash you for what you're saying now. So what I want to ask Attorney Shabazz, you know, you're a part of Black leadership, not the misleadership class. Would you agree with Dr. West? And I remember Dr. West, you would often say how a lot of our leadership sold their souls.
Okay. I think so. There's a little noise. Somebody's got some noise here.
Yeah, somebody mute yourself. Whoever just came in, mute yourself.
Okay, and we're going to bring on Miss Priscilla Sterling, one of Emmett Till's cousins of the Mississippi Foundation for Families. I mean, for the Emmett Till Foundation and for Justice for Families in Mississippi. Okay, but I want to say this. Let's. I don't want to get too much into Walker case because I know we got others coming on after us that will give you live reports from Akron. They've been on the ground. They're coming on after us, and they're going to give us live reports from Akron and other live reports from Carolina. But I want to say this about that case and the other police cases. You know, in the law that governs police cases, there is, they tell us in Akron, Ohio, that a law applies here. It's called qualified immunity, and it's called the fleeing felon rule, right? There are rules that are under this legal system that will tell us that these officers were somehow justified at the end of the day, firing those 90 shots and hitting him with those 60 shots. And this system and this society tells us that it was okay because qualified immunity and the fleeing felon rule say it's okay because allegedly, as soon as the chase started with Walker and the police, that he allegedly fired a shot that was captured by an intersection camera, and that they allegedly found the bullet casing, and that they allegedly found a gun on the front seat of his car, so that when he ran and when he was running and when those hail of bullets hit him, that they were justified, because these are the rules that they give us under the qualified immunity in a case called Tennessee v. Garner. Okay, that if a person presents a threat to the police or a threat to the public and they're escaping, that you have the right to what they did. fire those 90 shots or 60 shots. That doesn't weigh well with Black people. Okay? That doesn't, in Akron, Ohio, from what I'm understanding, is that regardless to these rules that white society and what we call white law gives us, these cases and killings open up deep festering wounds that are existing in the people that are far beyond the case of Mr. Walker. That Mr. Walker, it opens up the scabs and the sores from all of the police brutality, all of the white supremacy and the mistreatment that our people have been feeling. And that's why they don't care about what qualified immunity says. And they don't care what the rules that the police and the city are espousing that say that these officers will not be held accountable, or that it's okay, because they feel the sting. They feel the sting from what they have occurred and been harmed by all their lives from white supremacy in Ohio. They're feeling that long time, lifetime sting. And they also understand that those 90 shots are 90 shots of hatred. That it didn't take 90 shots at that young man to bring him down at all. And that every one of those 90 shots represent an intense degree of hatred and assassination. And they feel those shots because they felt these shots of white racism and white supremacy in their lives. And that's why you see Black people outpouring on all kinds of police cases, whether it's a clear case in favor of the victim and the police are clearly wrong, or whether it's mixed, or whether even sometimes you might say the victim had a part to play in it. Why are Black people so outraged? It's because these cases are the tip of the iceberg of a system that they are fed up with. And I agree with Dr. West that Black leadership hasn't been strong enough. Black leadership should be stronger, and Black leadership must be stronger. What I want to do is bring into the conversation with us, because I don't want to go too heavy. I want to bring in with Dr. West here to share with us. I want to bring in Miss Priscilla Sterling. I want to bring her in from the, how you doing? Great. I want to bring in Miss Sterling.
How you doing?
The cousin.
How you doing, my dear sister? How you doing there?
Good evening. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you.
May I introduce you, ma'am? May I introduce you, ma'am, to this is my host of our show here, Mr. Farad, and I want you to introduce to you a giant in our community, the Honorable Dr. Cornel West, who supports this cause. May I introduce you to each other?
Yes, sir. How you doing, Mr. West?
It's a blessing to set eyes on you.
Yes, sir. I'm an avid fan of yours.
No, I salute you and your precious family.
Yes, sir. We appreciate that. We appreciate that, especially during this time.
Yeah, no, indeed. What a blessing.
Okay, so let me help you out a minute, brother Farad. We'll work this together. Is that okay with you? That's fine, sir. Okay, so let me just ask Miss Priscilla. The recent discovery of the physical copy of the warrant from the courthouse in LaFleur County.
Yes, sir.
How important was this discovery to you, and what does it mean to you in this struggle for justice for Emmett Till, your family, and our people in the state of Mississippi?
Very important. Like you were stating, my family had come down from the Emmett Till Legacy Foundation. Deborah Watts and her daughter and son-in-law had come down with a team, Keith Beauchamp, and I was supposed to go that morning. It was June 21st. And they went into the courthouse, and they didn't let anybody know that they were coming. And like I said, family got together and talked about it that morning. And once they found the warrant, it had 4 other documents attached to it. A statement from Mose Wright, Uncle Moses, that put Carolyn Bryant at his house that morning, August the 28th. So I don't know if people everyone here is familiar, but Emmett was taken from Uncle Moses' house August 28, 1955. The sheriff, Uncle Moses, went to the sheriff department down in Money and made it aware that these men and Carolyn Bryant had come to the house that morning. And actually, Roy Bryant, J.W. Milam was arrested and booked and put in Greenwood jail house without a bail. Now, a warrant was issued for Carolyn Bryant that same day, August the 29th. And like I said, they charged him with kidnapping. Okay. August 31st, Emmett Till's body was pulled from the Tallahatchie River. Now, you tell me, if you have a warrant for Carolyn Bryant for August 29th, 1955, and she's at trial in September. I think trial started like September the 17th on a Monday. She's sitting in trial with her husband. Mind you, this warrant is out there. But the night that they picked J.W. Milam up and Roy Bryant, it was said that the sheriff said, no, we're not going to pick her up because she has small children and we're not going to cause her any harm. Now, when we found the warrant, my family here, when they had come here and they found that warrant, you could not have believed the emotion behind finding that warrant. And then finding out that Carolyn Bryant was at the house based on Uncle Moses' statement that is attached to that warrant, that affidavit, and she never was served. So it brought back what is going on with our government. Why all these lies? Because I don't know if you're watching the news and you're reading these books and these articles, it's saying that Emmett was taken from Uncle Moses' house and taken to Carolyn Bryant to the store that he initially whistled at her. So the family is very upset. So we are asking for the DA, Dwayne Richardson of Greenville, Mississippi, to execute that warrant. He needs to do it quick, fast, and in a hurry because he has the power to convene a new grand jury. By convening a new grand jury, we can present the new evidence. The new evidence is the warrant attached with the affidavit and other documents that were attached to that warrant. So right now, and I think Attorney Malik Shabazz, he's making a powerful statement about a citizen's arrest for Carolyn Bryant, because that's very well what needs to happen. There needs to be a citizen's arrest for someone to contact us here, the family, and let us know, my attorney. If they see her, we're gonna put our names and everything out there, and then we have to fly on a private jet to go get her. We coming. She needs to go to jail. She needs to face justice. She needs to defend herself and not the state of Mississippi they have continued to defend her. The federal government have continued to defend her. Why is she not in jail? Why has she not come to trial? Why has she not been able to tell what actually occurred that morning? And I don't know if you all know, but she is not the one that told her husband what happened.
Okay. So I know you got questions, Brother Farad, and I want to say this to everybody. This is Miss Priscilla Sterling. This is Emmett Till's cousin, and she runs a Emmett Till Foundation for Families in Mississippi. And she's strong here. She's strong here in her call and her advocacy for justice. And she supports our actions last week. And our actions last week were
went viral.
It went viral, but it wasn't intended to go viral. All of that was a surprise. What was as an attorney and a man. And I'm sure I speak for brother civil rights leader John Barnett. I speak for Mike Payne. I speak for all of the others who were there with us. It's a matter of moral consciousness that we will not allow a person that is involved in the murder of Emmett Till to live in peace amongst us in our community. And so therefore, it was no game. That was the last known address. When we went to 8800, that address in Raleigh, both of those addresses, those were well-researched last known addresses. And and it seems that she's gone in hiding. But we have other addresses. And I want to just let brothers and sisters know that the struggle will continue in this regard. Where there is no justice, there can be no peacefully residing in our community as a person that is involved in the murder of Brother Emmett Till. And so there's a lot coming up. What I want to say is that next week, there's going to be a big a show here. It's called Exposing the Truth of Emmett Till's Murder and Exposing the Truth of Mississippi. And it's going to be laid out here by historians and Ms. Sterling and a lot of others, where we're going to lay out all the facts that many people didn't know. I'm just getting educated myself. But I want to hear more from Dr. West now. Now that Dr. West has heard from the family, and I want to hear what you have to ask Dr. West, Brother Farad.
Should I say something to Brother Farah?
He might have got stuck. Okay, well, Dr. West, you've heard.
And we got our dear brother John Barnett here too.
He's coming on later.
He's coming on
a little later.
All right. No, but as I said before, you see that the Till family represent heights of Black nobility and royalty and majesty. What does it mean to actually bear witness to Black humanity, to be murdered, and then to have family respond with such determination and integrity? That's the only reason why Black people exist. It's because our love cannot be crushed by a hatred.
Mm-hmm.
That our thriving cannot be thwarted by murder. Because Black people have been murdered across the board, but we keep coming forward with our integrity and vision and courage and sensitivity. Just look at Sister Priscilla. She got style too.
That's right.
She got smile too. Her joy hasn't been crushed by the viciousness of white supremacy. That's what nobility is.
Yes, so sir.
When I hear her,
it's hard.
I know it's very difficult. That's why we are blues people. We wounded, we bruise, we scar. But the wounds and the bruise and the scars never have the last word. We still come out swinging. We still come out truth telling. We still come out witness bearing, and we still come out remembering those who we love. And so when I hear her eloquence, when I hear what she has to say, when I see her in action, all I can say is, yeah, we still on the move.
Yes, sir.
We still on the move. And see, that's a moral and a spiritual thing. It ain't just political.
Yes,
it's
sir.
Moral, it's spiritual, and I would say it's artistic.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's Nina Simone, Mississippi, goddamn. That's part of the same tradition. Nina, Priscilla, Malik, John. That's who we are at our best. Of course, we always got our faults and fallings. At our best, that's who we are. Emmett Till reminds us of that. Mamie Till reminds us of that. Priscilla Sterling reminds us of that.
Yes, sir.
Amen. Appreciate that. I don't know if Brother Farad is back, but I'll say this. I want to give thanks to the Mississippi organizers. We were in North Carolina, and I do want to have a word from Brother John Barnett. I want you to talk to weigh in for a minute, but I want to also, other than Mr. John Barnett, who's in North Carolina, I want to thank the Mississippi organizers who I worked with last week and who are pledging to dig in and fight for this cause. And I want to thank Brother Kareem Muhammad from Mississippi. I want to thank Brother Kamal Kareem and Patrick Alexander. First of all, Kareem Muhammad, that's the Nation of Islam and the local organizing committee there across the state. I want to really thank you all. I want to thank Mississippi on the Move Coalition and Black Liberation Movement.
Sorry
Mr.
about
Kamal
that, family.
Kareem. Okay, I want to thank Mr. Kamal Kareem. I want to thank Patrick Alexander. I want to thank all the members of the Panther Party in Mississippi who helped in the case. And many people don't know that a great convergence of civil rights and what we call Black power, that it occurs in Mississippi. That what the man we know as Kwame Ture or Stokely Carmichael, he reached an apex in Mississippi. That Mukasa Ricks, who was with us in his struggle, he reaches a peak or an apex on the battlegrounds of Mississippi. And my mother, I don't know if you know this, Dr. West, my mother and my family is from Macomb, Mississippi. My mother served under Medgar Evers for at least a year before she went on to Iowa to college. She served in Jackson under Baba Medgar Evers, and so did my aunt, rest her soul, Sister Bertha Sutton. Wow. And so, and Macomb, Mississippi is rooted in this struggle. I found this out. I discovered this in writing this book that I got to get you your copy because you quoted it in the book of Khalid. I found all this out when compiling this 555-page book. But what I want to say is that this is not this connection tonight and what we're doing here tonight. This is not accidental. Because Mississippi is a grounds for freedom fighters and freedom struggle. It's a ground where the Fannie Lou Hamers meet the Stokely Carmichaels, and where the nationalists will meet the civil rights activists. And this is where we meet at a common well in the fight for justice. And I think we've reached a point here right now where it's all gonna come together. That this case is not going to go up and down where it gets attention and momentum for 1 minute, but the family doesn't have either the attorneys or the activists or the national support, so it dies out and it may come back. I think we've reached a watershed moment. There's supposed to be a big movie coming out about Emmett Till, and this case is right now on everybody's mind, and we are determined by all means that we are not going to let it die. I'm not going to let it die. Brother Farad, I'm taking over your interview. You go right ahead.
That's part of right, Attorney Shabazz. This is your platform. Your platform. I'm good. Okay, so I want to get back to Ms. Sterling. Ms. Sterling, if you would, you mentioned when you came on the broadcast, you spoke about the emotions that were felt when that warrant was found. If you would, can you give us a little more detail about that? What was it like when your family found that warrant? Or found out that the warrant was found? Describe those emotions, please.
I was not there. I couldn't go. I was at work, and they went on, found the warrant. And Deborah, my cousin Deborah Watts, she said when she got it in her hand, she ran out of the room and she burst into tears, because this is something that we've been asking the Justice Department to do, was serve her warrant, because we knew that a warrant is out here. We know, I mean, it's in documentation that there was a warrant for her arrest. So we just met with the Department of Justice March 8th of this year for them to execute a warrant for her arrest.
I remember.
And to actually go to the courthouse and they find this warrant, you can't describe it. Because it's like a lot of lies. It's like, what in the hell has been going on in Mississippi where they are trying to change the narrative of what actually happened? Moses Wright, Uncle Moses, put Carolyn Bryant there August 28th, that morning, as the person responsible for participating in the kidnapping of Emmett. She was served, there was a warrant written for her August 29th. J.W. Milam, Roy Bryant were picked up and booked without her. And the reason being, Roy Bryant's wife, no, we're going to let her stay at the house. She tending to the children. We're not going to bother her. And all of a sudden, after that, she's supposed to have disappeared. From what we hear from the sheriff department down there, they couldn't find her after JW and Roy went to prison. I mean, well, not went to prison, but went to jail that particular night. They confined her, but she ended up at the trial. You telling me you couldn't arrest her then? It was never meant for Carolyn Bryant to go to jail. Not here in the state of Mississippi, because it's the state of Mississippi that protect white privilege, white women. When they do something wrong, they're not going to get chastised for it. And she was not the one to tell her husband who done this. So you have other witnesses that we have also asked the Justice Department to investigate. These people still stay on the property that were there at the time Emmett supposedly whistled, and this person knew where Uncle Moses stayed. This man was never interviewed, and he still stays on the property, and he's still alive. We asked the FBI to investigate that. So for Dwayne Richardson to convene a new grand jury, this evidence, this additional evidence that the family has found, that we have researched and found, we're asking them to, hey, look, present this new evidence. I got a call from the Justice Department Wednesday, last Wednesday, after the warrant was found. We're not going to reopen the case. That's what they told me. We're not going to reopen the case. And I said, hold up, how you going to call me and tell me that you're not going to reopen the case? Well, we're going to stick to our decision in December.
Yes,
so that was a blow to us. And I think the only reason why they called me, because at the time I was not represented by an attorney.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let me read this. And I would like to for Dr. West to weigh in on it, and I want the audience to understand why Priscilla is so passionate about the finding of this warrant. Can I read it? I want to read the affidavit from the county prosecutor in support of the warrant. Okay, this affidavit is from August 29th, 1955. And it says, State of Mississippi, County of LaFleur, affidavit, in the name and by the authority of the state of Mississippi, I, John J. Frazier, Jr., County Prosecuting Attorney in and for LaFleur County, in said state, being duly authorized to inform this court of offenses committed within said county and state after first being duly sworn, now coming hereby inform the court that Roy Bryant, Mrs. Roy Bryant, that's Carolyn Bryant, and J.W. Millum in the county and state aforesaid on the 29th day of August, 1955, did then and there willfully, unlawfully, and feloniously, and without lawful authority, did forcibly seize and confine and kidnap Emmett Lewis Till, a human being with the willful, unlawful, and felonious intent then and there to cause said Emmett Till to be secretly confined or imprisoned against his said Emmett Lewis Till's will and against the peace and dignity of the state of Mississippi. And this is what the affidavit that the judge signed off the warrant, the capias, which is to bring her body into court, in order to bring her body into court. And here is where the sheriff indicates that he has produced Mr. Miller and Mr. Bryant, but he says here that Mrs. Bryant is not found in my county. Mm-hmm. And this is why we are here today. An excuse was given that she was with the kids, that she was not in the county. This is the White Citizens Council. This is a state that is riddled with influence from white supremacists and Klan affiliates.
And see,
and this is And this is that warrant that has brought this case to national attention again. It's by divine intervention. Go right ahead, Dr. Ma'am and Dr.
I wanted to say, I want to interject something.
Please.
This is bigger than the arrest warrant. This is bigger than the arrest warrant. I don't know if you all know that we had United States senators involved in this case. You had United States Senator James O. Eastland, United States Senator John Stennis, who went to the Department of Defense, got Emmett Till's daddy files of him being executed for raping a white woman and 2 Italian women, and brought it to the trial in 1955 to get J.W. Milam and Roy Bryant acquitted. And so we know without a shadow of a doubt, if this happened, and this is documented, not made up, nothing that I've heard. This is paperwork that we have, documentation that we have, that these men, including J. Edgar Hoover, were involved in this case. Now, if you have United States senators that's sitting in Washington, D.C. with President Eisenhower at that time, involved in a 14-year-old's murder, we know Carolyn Bryant wasn't going to prison. We know Carolyn Bryant was not going to, they were going to put out that arrest warrant. That's the reason why Ms. Bryant has not been captured. That's the reason why she is not in jail. That's the reason why we cannot find her, because the state is hiding her. The people, White Citizens Council, KKK, hiding her. That's why we can't get justice. You got politics involved in this now. So now we gotta push it. This is the reason why we're here, to bring it out in the open, to expose Mississippi. And then we can move all over this country. We're opening up cases, going after other lynchings. We need to be getting the perpetrators that are alive. Don't wait till they die like Roy Bryant and J.W. Carolyn Bryant is the only one left alive. Let's arrest her. If we have to do a citizen arrest, let's do it. But we need all of you. We all need to be on the ground saying, let's citizen arrest. Let's arrest Carolyn Bryant.
Y'all hear this?
That's right.
Y'all hear this? Let me let Dr. West weigh in.
No, I just want Sister Priscilla's words to soak into our hearts, minds, and souls. Because when you're talking about truth, you're not talking about propositions. You're talking about cries that are transmuted into ways of acting, ways of being. Mississippi produced Robert Johnson. Mississippi produced Reverend C.L. Franklin, the father of Aretha Franklin. Mississippi produced David Ruffin. Why not Mississippi? Mississippi is a state that produces levels of artistic genius that take the form of cries for justice, transformed into moral courage and action. And so in the end, it's going to be, what kinds of actions do we take? What kind of risks are we going to make? That's why what you're doing, Brother Malik, that's why what you're doing, Brother John, on the ground concretely makes the difference. Mississippi has been a site of neo-slavery for hundreds of years. Right. That's what Jim Crow was. You don't expect Jim Crow law to be just. We don't expect neo-slavery laws to be just, but we raise our voices. Sometimes all we got is our voices.
That's right. Like
Sunhouse. He's just gonna raise his voice. But in raising his voice, it means that the lies don't have the last word, the crimes don't have the last word, and all the effort to hide Black humanity in the lies told about us and the crimes committed against us, right, will be exposed then and now. Akron, Ohio now, in Mississippi, 1955 then, and all that was happening in Mississippi and California and Chicago and Detroit and Florida, right across the board. All of that exposed. That's what it seems to me we all about. And
yes, sir.
I thank God with what Sister Priscilla and Brother Malik and Brother John and the others are trying to get us to see and do.
I want to hear from I want to hear from Brother John Barnett right now, if you don't mind.
Go right ahead.
Go right ahead.
Peace and blessings, family.
Peace and blessings. Welcome, welcome.
I'm blessed to be on the show. I'm even more blessed to be in presence of my big brother, Malik, Dr. Malik Zulu Shabazz, my sister who's down there in Mississippi fighting, you, of course, and the great Cornel West. I still got your Race Matters book. I want to make sure I do that. I got to get it all grabbed by you real soon.
Oh, salute you, my brother. Salute you.
I'm Brother John Barnett, country boy from Lake Wiley, South Carolina. Clover, by the way. 94. I watched my brother get shot in the back by my cousin. 95, I went to something called the Mean Man March. I seen a man there named Cornel West. I seen Minister Farrakhan. I seen Al Sharpton, Reverend Sharpton, and Jesse Jackson. Seen Stevie Wonder. Say he couldn't see us, but he could feel our spirit. But they told us to go home and write one brother in prison. I came home and forgave my brother's killer and wrote my brother's killer, my cousin, in jail for shooting my brother 3 times in the back over a pair of tennis shoes. Didn't know that at the Million Man March, those individuals I just stated, I'd be eating lunch and dinner with them, including my brother Malik. I owe him dinner. So now, after I get home, I realized all my friends were in prison in South Carolina, 9 friends. Started reading Malcolm X's book. And now today we're operating in 17 states. I've been blessed to get 23 dirty cops fired, 33 people out of jail. And and I don't have a website, nor do I have a laptop. I'm very grassroots. Reverend Sharpton taught me that he said that Dr. King never had an internet, he never had Skype, never had Zoom, never had Twitter or Facebook, but Dr. King has an international ministry. People in Germany know about Dr. King, people in Africa know about Dr. King. So I want to make sure I let my sister know that I'm grassroots, that if I'm on the fence, I'm on one side of the fence, and that's the fence for Emmett Till. I never met Brother Emmett Till, but I know some people that look like him in my neighborhood, and they're 14 years old. And I'm almost want to say I'd be damned if I'm gonna let somebody else go out like that. It's sad, it's shocking. 80% of the people that was in Raleigh last week with me and my big brother Dr. Shabazz was Charlotte, Maryland, and probably Lumberton. I did the numbers in Raleigh, it's only 25% black folks. 15% of them are controlled. So I'm thinking, me and Brother Malik, we got to get people from Greensboro, because I believe that we need to push both buttons. Brother Malik told me we need to push both buttons at the same time. Push the button in Mississippi and push the button in Raleigh. The lady asked me last week, the reporter asked me, well, Don, don't you feel bad about trying to take an 87-year-old woman to jail? And they say she's losing her mind. I say, y'all locked Bill Cosby up and he was losing his eyesight. So we have no mercy. We have no mercy. If Miss Carolyn was black and Mr. Emmett Till was white, you'd have 1 million people in Mississippi and you'd have 1 million people in Raleigh fighting to make sure that black Miss Carolyn get locked up. So I have no mercy upon them. I think if we do this, not only is it justice for the Till family, but it's justice for America. It's the right thing to do. It's a warrant. Warrants don't ever die. They like roaches. If you don't spray, they're gonna be there. And not only that, this is murder. And they displayed it all over the world. And then I just got the pictures that they've created the gas station or the candy store into some kind of historical site. So now our kids got to ride by there and say, that's the place where Emmett Till got killed. This is the place where Michael Brown died when I went to Ferguson. This is the place when I went to Sanford, Florida, where Trayvon Martin was shot center mass in his heart. So now they got memorials reminding us that we still black in America.
Making money off of our family.
And there's no justice. Wow. Brother West, I'm friends with Sunshine Anderson. She's a Grammy singer. I'm a life coach. And I adopted her father, Brother Rahman, who's a Muslim. He's my godfather. He said that, he told me the story of Muhammad Ali going to visit Minister Farrakhan. And that morning when they ate breakfast, Muhammad Ali in his later stages started getting kind of old and he wouldn't move as fast. And he would begin to mumble, still a nigga. Around lunchtime, I heard that he ate lunch with the minister. Minister didn't pay no attention. So he asked him, said it again while he's eating lunch, still a nigga. At 6 o'clock, of course, you know the Muslims. I learned from the Muslims. I don't eat pork. I ate pork since I left the Million Man March. Don't eat red meat. But at 6 o'clock, say they had dinner with Muhammad Ali and Mr. Farrakhan, and he said it again while he was eating dinner. Still a nigga. After a while, Mr. Farrakhan got fed up, and he said, Brother Ali, you've been saying still a nigga all day. Why is you saying that?
He said that Muhammad Ali looked up at him. Muhammad Ali looked at him and said, brother, he said, Time Life magazine labeled me as the greatest athlete of the century. He said, I've been around the world and people know my name in hundreds of countries. He said, but in America, still a nigga. And that's the reality of what we have to deal with. I don't care how big and bad Michael Jackson was, how big and bad R. Kelly was, how big and bad Dr. King was, how big and bad Malcolm X was, and I love all of them. At the end of the day, we got to realize not only were those men targeted, but they was watched. And I think when we began to fight the way we did last week, we had the Hewitt P. Newton Gun Club there. We had the Black Panthers there. You had my organization Thug there. You had people just want to be a part of what we were doing. When we begin to fight in numbers, these hands right now, these fingers are separated. But when you bring them together, you can make change. Jesus only started with 12 people. Dr. King maybe had 8, maybe 7. Andrew Young, Brother Stokely Carmaker, may they all rest in peace. And Jesse Jackson, Reverend Jackson. They only started with a small number of people. The NWCP started with maybe 4 or 5 educators. So to my sister, as I close, don't look down at these small beginnings, because this thing is going to begin to create a snowball effect. And yes, people that don't know Emmett, we went to the rest home, sister, last week. There was people in there that was Black, and they didn't know who the hell Emmett Till was. I was blown away. And I'm 53. They didn't know who Emmett Till was. I was blown away. Yeah. Let alone Trayvon. So it's important that you know that this is a snowball effect. I told him last week, I'm trying to get Shirley Caesar's church right now. I'm on the phone call right now. I'm fighting for you. I can't wait to meet you. But I'm fighting to get Shirley Caesar's church right now. They're supposed to give me the date tomorrow because I'm going to do a justice rally in the name of Emmett Till. I'm going to do something every month in Raleigh until we get justice. And we got to have consistency. That's the key. You got to keep doing it. The Montgomery bus boycott wasn't 30 days. It was 361 days to my understanding. It was a whole year. So we can't get weary. Minister Farrakhan said in Charlotte, Little Rock Church, I got a photograph, remember, so y'all got to stay with me. He said that they shoot Dr. King in his jaw, put a pacifier in your mouth, give you a Dr. King holiday, and rock you back to sleep. He said they shoot Malcolm X multiple times in his chest, give a school in the name of Malcolm X, put a pacifier in your mouth, and rock you back to sleep. They shoot Trayvon and send him ass in his heart, and the whole world had on hoodies, walking around buying Skittles and tea, and now we don't even say Trayvon's name. They done put a pacifier in our mouth and rock us back to sleep. It's imperative that we don't put milk in that bottle. We put coffee in there to keep our people alive.
All right, Brother John, I want you to stay around. I want you to stay around once we pass out of this segment, Brother John. I want you to stay around with Brother Mike Payne and the other activists in Mississippi that helped us. They're going to be on the line, and I think I'm gonna try. Hopefully Dr. Cornell West will be able to transfer with me over to Instagram. I'm praying that works.
I'm gonna follow your instructions, my brother. You know,
what's your Instagram, brother?
That we gonna get over to Instagram. I'm Malik Zulu Shabazz Esquire on Instagram, and I mean I'm just getting kind of familiar with that also, but you know, this news service I have here right now and that I introduced a week ago, it got over 5 million views. It got 5 million views, and it let me know that the mainstream media can cover things the way they want, or they don't have to cover it. The word will get out. We have our own media network now, so that's important. That's important for truth. And so let me I want to, before I talk about, you know, I want to ask Dr. West, and then I want to come back and kind of explain some of the next steps. But Brother Barnett, Dr. West, he emphasized that these are not, that these are campaigns.
Oh, can someone mute their mic? We can hear the wind. Can someone mute their mic?
That might be Miss Sterling.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Dr. West, these moments we're in right now, Mr. Barnett emphasized that this has to be a campaign. This is a consistency that we can't be weary. I'm going to speak to the future schedule in a moment. But how important in these moments, Dr. West, are the stamina, the will and the resolve of our people and the resolve of our leadership. How important is the will, the resolve, the stamina of our leadership and our people to go the long distance here?
And that's why, for me, you know, it's fundamentally a spiritual and a moral issue. We've always been in a situation in the context of a white supremacist war declared against us, where it looks like David versus Goliath. So it cannot be just a matter of a kind of present day calculation. It's a question of what kind of human being do you want to be? What is the relation between your mama and you and your daddy and your grandparents, and what kind of love and courage is inside of you that allows you to bear witness no matter what the situation is? That's where stamina comes from. That's where strength comes from. That's where the zeal comes from. The gusto comes from. The deep conviction comes from. And that's exactly, for me, you know, is the question of not just Black leadership, but what it means to be a Black person in a white supremacist world. You see, every day you get up, who you gonna be? Whose memory will be at work inside of you? Whose afterlife is at work in your life? Emmett Till's afterlife is in part at work in our lives. That's what helps keep us going. The Till family, the Mississippi community, the larger Black community in America. And of course, it's international. It's the oppressed community around the world, because Black people, we are a historical people. We're great people. We have disproportionately shaped how people conceive of love and freedom in the world. So what we do sends a message to every corner of the globe, not just in North Carolina, not just in Mississippi.
That's right.
That's why I always talk about the musicians, because the musicians have been the fundamental vanguard of what it means to love Black people, what it means to enact a freedom when it looks like we're unfree. Somehow our voices free us up. And the love of grandmama frees us up. She don't have to be pure. She don't have to be pristine. She don't have to always be on the cutting edge. When you talk about your mother from Macomb, brother, that she's inside of you. Can't nobody take that away from you, ever. Whether she agree with everything you do, that ain't even a question. We talking about the love.
That's right.
We talking about the stamina. And she's proud of you because she know the love is there. That's what I'm talking about. If we keep it at that level, then we got Coltrane Love Supreme. We ain't just talking about politics. We keep it at that level. We got Aretha Franklin and we got Otis Redding's respect, because we respecting each other. That's where the unity comes from that the brother was talking about. We have to have sustained stamina of enough unity so people can know in this war, our blows and our swings will have an effect.
That's right. That's right.
Don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing.
That's beautiful.
That's Duke. He telling the truth.
Ellington.
Okay. What I want to do here, I guess I want to make a few announcements, because I want to let everybody know that we've just begun. That last week was not just a one-time thing. It's that love that Dr. Cornel West talked about. That is the love within my heart, and that is in the love within Mr. Barnett's heart. That's in the love of Mike Payne. That's in the love of the Black Panthers. That's in the love of all our Mississippi freedom fighters you're going to hear from. It is the love for our people and our struggle that made us put ourselves at risk last week.
Yes,
yes. They're asking me, they saying, Attorney Shabazz, that they say this is dangerous for you. This is risky for you, what you're doing. Pursuing Carolyn Bryant and bringing these forces to her locations, and all of this talk about a citizen's arrest or eviction notice out of the state, and putting this pressure on her. And you know, I understand that it's a certain risk, but it's a risk that I'm willing to take because these are risks out of love, and I've risked my life.
That's right.
In my career and throughout my career. Dr. West well knows, and he helps me to understand why I do it. I do it because I love my people. And so they also come and ask me, they say, well, say, Attorney Shabazz, why you on this case? You gonna sue somebody, or how you gonna get paid? How you gonna get paid out this case? I say, brother, this ain't got nothing to do with money. This got to do for the fact that I refuse as a man, as a organizational leader, and as a lawyer, that I'm not gonna wake up knowing that I know that I have people in place in these states, and that the Carolyn Bryant could be walking around free or relaxing, and I would allow her to relax and walk around free and continue to exist with all of this evidence. That's just not going to happen. So the struggle continues, sisters and brothers. The struggle continues, and our motives are clear. We love our people, and we love justice more than we love life. More than we love life. Now here's where we headed. Next week, sisters and brothers, on this station, there's going to be a full show here. And the full show here is going to be called Mississippi and Emmett Till Exposed. Mississippi and Emmett Till Exposed. And we are going to have historians on. We are going to have researchers on. We are going to have Miss Sterling on. We are going to go all into many of the facts and the details and the evidence in this matter that have yet to be exposed. And one of our main missions here is to have the truth of all of the Emmett Till case exposed, and all of what's really going on in Mississippi exposed. In that regard, we have just begun. So I want you all to tune in here again next week, Monday, because we're going to lay it all out professionally. Number two is you have the commemoration coming up in August of Emmett's lynching, his assassination. You have that commemoration. It has to be national this year.
That's right.
It has to be of a national scope. It has to be at the last weekend of August. Not only will we be gathering in Mississippi, not only will we be mobilizing heavily in Mississippi, we want every city that's here, every person that can have input for justice here, to participate in doing something strong for the Emmett Till case and for justice in this case all over the country. We're going to have a national commemoration this year, and it will be based around arresting Carolyn Bryant Donner. And it will be based around fully exposing the truths that need to be exposed here in this case. So August, it's going to be gearing up for a heavy month of August as we come in for this commemoration date. It will be different than it ever has before, and leadership from around the country, lawyers, activists of all stripes, they're going to weigh in, and there's going to be more pressure put on the arresting of Carolyn Donham than ever. We have other locations, and we have the locations that we have just come from. We are still on the hunt for the location. And we have other locations that are going to be visited soon. We have even heard that she's in Greenville, Mississippi. Now, I know she couldn't be in Greenville, Mississippi. I know she wouldn't be that bold to go in an area where they say is 90% Black. And but if she's in Greenville, Mississippi, that's going to be found out and rooted out. If she's at those other locations in Raleigh, North Carolina, Brother John Barnett, we're going to have to find out.
That's right.
If she's in the nursing home, where they say she's allegedly in a nursing home, where's the nursing home?
That's right.
Where there's no justice, there can be no peace. and there can be no hiding place. I got to guarantee you that the principles that we established last week will continue. The spirit of last week will continue. And brothers and sisters all over the country, they're not having. The Justice Department has not done its job. The Justice Department has not treated the Emmett Till's family fairly. And the Justice Department must be held accountable. The Emmett Till Justice for Families Foundation, that's who Miss Priscilla represents. The Emmett Till Justice for Families Foundation. This is a great foundation. This is a foundation that we intend to help to establish for her, not for us, but for her and the family, and for those noble objectives that the Emmett Till Justice for Families Foundation. We must support that. You know, they're gonna make a big movie, coming out with a big movie on Emmett Till. We got to make sure that Emmett Till's situation gets justice and the family gets justice before any capitalist corporations run away with the story of Emmett Till. I mean, it's good that a movie would come out because everybody would be talking about Brother Emmett Till. Everybody is going to have an increased consciousness this year about Brother Emmett Till.
That's right.
We also got to make sure that Brother Emmett Till's situation is not exploited. And we have to be the vanguard against exploitation. There's a congressman in Mississippi that can weigh in on this, Congressman Benny Thompson. The congressman from Mississippi. He's right here in Washington, D.C. He has to declare his position sooner than later on this case. The U.S. District Attorney, the attorney in charge in that county, Dwayne Richardson, must be held accountable. Dwayne Richardson has to reconvene that grand jury. The activists that are coming up after me are mounting a serious petition based on the laws of that county in Mississippi that will force another grand jury to be reconvened. You know, if it was up to me, I'm studying, and I've gotten thousands of pages of documents now that I'm studying this week on the case. I can't tell you that Carolyn Bryant was not right there when that big 75-pound gin fan was tied around Emmett Till's neck with barbed wire and he was thrust into the Tallahatchie River. I can't say that she wasn't there.
That's right.
And so, brothers and sisters, there will be a schedule. There's a schedule for justice. There's a scheduling order coming out in this fight for justice. This is real business. It's serious. We need all of your help in all of these states, in Virginia, North Carolina, Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama. If a call is made that all of you all have to come to Mississippi to address the fact that Carolyn Bryant is living in Mississippi, if all of the groups that just gathered in Mississippi, if all of our forces have to come back to Mississippi, stay in Mississippi, whatever it takes, sisters and brothers, by any means necessary, that we are in this fight. And we are here to serve, and I'm here to serve, and others should serve, and many others will help. And I'm glad Dr. Cornel West is joining this fight. That's just my piece and my statement here, Brother Farad. And I know you'll ask Ms. Priscilla and Cornel West their final statements. But I want to let everybody know that we're serious. This is not a game. It's not a publicity stunt. I mean, we had no idea that it was going to go viral. We old school. We don't even know about going viral.
That's right.
We don't know anything about going viral.
That's right.
We know about getting down on the case and going for justice and putting pressure on the system, putting pressure on the defendants, putting pressure on the prosecutor, even if it risks our lives. We know about going all out for justice.
That's right.
That's my final statement for the night.
What I want to do then, okay, we're going to do it this way. We're going to start with Dr. West, then Brother John, and I want to end it with our sister Priscilla. So in that order, final statements.
Yeah, the final statement is that it's fundamentally about our love for Black people. We don't have any brands, we got a cause. And when you have a cause, it's something you live and die for. It's not something you put up for sale. And Emmett's precious humanity, along with the precious humanity of Black folk for the last 400 years in this 400-year war against Black people, is not in any way something that's up for sale. It has to do with those who are willing to throw down in the name of a love and a justice with an integrity and a conviction and a commitment that is consistent. Nobody is ever, free of fault or wrinkle. We all got our inadequacies in some way. But when it comes to a love for Black people, when it comes to a love of truth, when it comes to a love of justice, we got to be consistent across the board. And the Teal family represents that level of nobility, just like other Black families that have had to pay the ultimate cost in this white supremacist war, attacking and assaulting Black people. And we have to resist. We got to fight. We got to bear witness. We got to throw down.
That's right.
With the style and the smile that we see in Sister Priscilla and the others who come right out of the Teal nobility in terms of the family connection. We come out in terms of our people connection, our human connection.
Okay, 1 second, Brother John, before I get to you, I want to hear briefly, final statement from General Payne, briefly, and then we'll get to you, John, and then of course with Sister Priscilla. General Payne with us? Black Power?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Okay, yeah, General Mike Payne, if you would, brother, because we're winding down.
I would call it his opening statement, though. I wouldn't call it his final statement because he's coming on as soon as we end this segment. Brother Mike Payne and others are going to continue to describe to give us further details on what happened last week. But I do want to say with Dr. Cornel West on, I do want him to meet one of our rising future stars in this movement, and a very solid young man right now. I want to say this in front of everybody, that General Mike Payne of the original Black Panthers of Virginia was absolutely critical to the pressure and the operations of last week. He was very strong, and he's a very strong leader overall.
That's right.
He serves in many different ways in our community, so many different ways of helping people, and he's a warrior. So Brother Cornel West, I want you to meet Brother Mike Payne, because Mike Payne is one of the best that we have.
No, but I salute my brother. I could see the love warrior and a freedom fighter. Indeed, indeed. So I salute him.
Come on, speak to us. Speak to Dr. West, Brother Mike.
Hey, absolutely.
And to the Emmett Till family, Miss Priscilla. Go right ahead, brother.
Yes, it's a pleasure to be on here. It's a pleasure to meet. You definitely, Mr. West. I'm a big fan. I see you everywhere, and I listen to a lot of your speeches and everything. So it's a pleasure. Also, with Miss Sterling, thank you as well for being here, being courageous, and being strong. I want to say this is not even something I can say that is something new for me, because every year, for I think the last 3 years, we've been doing a commemoration for the King Emmett Till, where we go out and we tell his story from the time he left Chicago into his untimely murder. And we teach it to the kids, we teach it to the adults who don't know, and we do this every year. We release 14 balloons every year, and this is just something we feel it's needed to do, because we have this big picture, we put it up, and there's adult people, 50, 60 years old, who ask me, is that a cowboy? Is that this? And it baffles me that they don't know who Emmett Till is. So therefore, it gets to the point where I'm like, okay, well, we still have to teach them too. If they don't know, we got to teach them too, whether they're old, young, or whatever, whatnot. So I found out that there's a big age difference in people that don't know this story. So what we do is, and here's the picture, and this is why they asked if he's, is a cowboy. Here's the picture right here, and we show that every year. But the problem is I found out there was an age gap. So what I did was, for the young kids, I created a song, a hip hop song, which tells his story as a bio from beginning to end, what
That's
happened and
beautiful,
everything.
beautiful.
And yeah, and there's a question and answer sheet with that. So when I teach this class to the children, they're able to really understand, and I teach it to whoever shows up, white, black, whatever. And I do that because I found out that because our school system is watering down our history and our stories so much that the kids, even the white children, they can't identify with the struggle because of the fact that it's so watered down. It seems like they tell slavery as if it's just, you know, this, that, and the third, and it wasn't so bad, and they could still do this, that, and, you know, whatever. No, I give them the real, the rugged, and the raw. And what ends up happening is even their parents come up to me at the end and say, my children didn't know that. And what they ended up doing, one kid in particular, I'll never forget, he Googled Emmett Till. And that's where he saw the pictures. And he saw the pictures that his mother was so brave to release or open that casket and put out. He saw those pictures, and I saw his eyes start to water up. And he said, I didn't know it was this bad. So that lets me know that we're on the right track to teaching in the community. So this is something that we have to do. She has to go to prison. She has to face justice. This is something that has to be done. It is mandatory. I don't care how old she is. Whatever time she has left, she needs to spend it in lockup or spend it in some type of turmoil. That has to happen. Right. And that's what we're after.
That's right. So I'm sure in the next hour you're gonna drop that rap, right? You're gonna drop those. You're gonna drop that, right?
He got bars. He got bars.
Yeah, it's just important. It's important to get to those different demographics, like I said, because our young children, sometimes they don't want to sit and hear a whole, you know, a speech, a lecture, a story, or whatnot. So I said we have to get to them any way we can. You know, we're attacked in so many different ways that we have to attack back in so many different ways. So I felt that was a way to get them, and it worked out very, very well. So yeah, I'm proud to do it, and I love the community coming out to hear it. And we're going to keep doing it. We always do it in around August 28th. So we're going to be doing it again this year. So, yeah.
All right.
That's beautiful. Beautiful. Man.
Brother Farad, you still with us? Okay. So I guess we're going to close. I want Dr. West.
Yes, I'm still with you.
Okay. Let me pass it over to you so you can pass it over to Dr. West so we can get off of here and go to Instagram.
Okay, definitely. Well, like I said, we wanted to hear from Dr. West and then, of course, from Sister Priscilla. That was it. Then we go to Instagram.
Okay.
But Dr. West already spoke. I'm sorry. We're supposed to hear from John. I'm sorry. We're supposed to hear from John.
Hold 1 second. John is going to be on for the next hour. We rarely have Dr. West here. This is rarity.
Dr.
Right now, we got to hear again. We got to get more from Dr. West and Priscilla because these are rare moments. So go.
Yes. His words is like honeycomb. Talk to
I wanted them to meet two of the freedom fighters that are putting their organization and lives on the line for the cause.
Definitely. Well,
I do want them to have. I do want Dr. West here to have the final words here and so forth, so that
that's fine.
Because his word, it's a rare opportunity here. Go right ahead.
Well, no, Sister Priscilla, though, I think it's best for me to say something after our dear sister, though, Brother Malik. Does that make sense to you, my brother?
Makes more sense. Makes more sense to me, Bob.
There you go. That's the truth.
Makes more sense to me.
And like I was saying, Mr. West, it's been such a pleasure to be on this live stream with you. I am so honored. I want to thank these organizations, especially my Mississippi organizations, the organizations out doing the grassroots work. We are really happy. The family cannot be more grateful for the support that you all are giving us to help get Dwayne Richardson to execute this warrant and to convene a new grand jury. Like I was stating earlier, this is bigger than that arrest warrant. This is so much bigger than this arrest warrant. We have political people involved in this, and that's the reason why Carolyn Bryant is hidden out. This is the reason, because she has help. we can, I mean, the country can go in a different direction once Carolyn Bryant faced justice. Once we let the system, let her defend herself, not the state or the federal government. She needs to come to trial. That's my last word. And I also want you all to know the commemoration during the day that he was taken out of Uncle Moses' house, August 28th. We planned a national gathering here in this state. So be on the lookout, be ready for grassroots work here in Mississippi to put pressure on Dwayne Richardson as well. By that time, hopefully we'll have Carolyn Bryant in trial or to come to court. Thank you.
Thank you, sister.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Well, one, just be able to see younger generation. I see there's a brother General Desert Eagle up in there too. I know we haven't had a chance to say a word, but just to see his smile and I can feel his spirit. We got another freedom fighter up in here. But the beautiful thing is, and this is good news. You see, the good news is that every generation, the most hated people in the modern world, which is Black people, keep generating more love warriors. Every generation of enslaved and Jim Crow people keep producing freedom fighters. Every generation, all of this sorrow and sadness coming our way, we keep producing joy spreaders. Every generation, they keep wounding us, and we produce wounded healers, not just wounded hurters, and you heal by justice. Now, healing is a painful process. Now, you see, everybody want to heal as if it's just comfort and convenience. No, you heal by means of justice. Justice is gonna hurt. It's gonna go against the grain of the lies, go against the grain of the crime, but we still wounded healers. And so when I think about Mississippi, that's the ground zero of the Black love struggle, the Black freedom struggle. That's where Curtis Mayfield comes from. He comes out of Mississippi. That's where Richard Wright comes from. He comes out of Mississippi. That's where we can go on and on and on. Margaret Walker. I mean, Mississippi has been ground zero of the love warriors and the freedom fighters with overwhelming sadness and sorrow, but always pushing it back with style and a smile, collectively connecting person to person, community to community, but each person also being their distinctive voice, the lifting of every voice, which is the anthem of our people. How you gonna lift our voice? No echoes here. It ain't lift every echo. It's lift every voice.
Amen.
It's gonna be an echo, gonna be an extension of an echo chamber and sell your soul for a mess of pottage, because that's how the market culture results in trying to put us to sleep, as the minister was talking about in the story, Brother John. That's what Mr. Louis Farrakhan was talking about. How you gonna pacify these people? How you gonna keep them to sleep? How you gonna keep them scared? How you gonna keep them afraid? How you gonna keep them intimidated? No, you shatter that. What shatters that? Love. What shatters that? Courage. What shatters that? People who are willing publicly, like Brother Malik been doing for the last 28 years that I've known him, to be true to his self, his Black self, based on a Black love as he understands it.
Beautiful.
And that's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. And that's how we overlap. That's how we come together. Because everybody who really, really loves Black people gonna have a hatred when they treat it unjustly.
That's right.
And if we don't do something, the rocks are gonna shout out.
That's right.
Grandmama's voice is gonna be heard from the grave. Granddad's body gonna twist in the grave. Somebody remember us. Emmett's body, remember us, remember me. Not just me as an individual from Chicago, visiting folk in Mississippi, all the others as well. And all we try to do is be true to that. And that's a beautiful thing. To have that opportunity to be true to that kind of love, that kind of justice, that kind of humanity. That's what our struggle's always been about. That's what makes us full of joy.
Okay. Can I say one thing here before we depart? Sisters and brothers who are listening in this audience and on this show and who will watch it in the future, you are part of an historic night here. You have the family and the cousins of Brother Emmett Till, who is a premier martyr in our entire movement. You have Miss Priscilla Sterling of the Emmett Till Justice for Families Foundation in Mississippi. My name is Malik Zulu Shabazz, okay? I'm an attorney, and I represent Black Lawyers for Justice, and I do represent the new Black Panther Party. And we are in this fight all the way. And we're here in unity. And the sign of the unity that is on this program tonight is the sign of the unity that is going to come about in this nation. We are asking everybody to unite around this cause. Settle your differences and let's fight on a common front around this cause. This is not going to be easy, and there are going to be some days ahead that will be difficult. We will face opposition. We will face racism. We will face skeletons in the closet. We will face white supremacy. We will have to face up against forces of injustice, whether they be from Capitol, Congress, the United States Justice Department, down to the hidden bodies that are buried in Mississippi. But we must take a strong stand. And we're happy because this is one of the strongest networks in the country. This network here that is on this phone, and the network that moved on Carol and Brian and Raleigh, and the network that moved across Mississippi last week. I'm happy to say that this is one of the strongest coalitions and network and movements in the country, and it has power. Right. That's right. It has attorneys, it has freedom fighters, it has lawyers, it has fighters, and I sensed a new opportunity. And so I want to say, just stand firm and stand fast. And I want to close, and I want to read from the book of Ecclesiastes in the 3rd chapter.
Yeah.
I want to read as we close out. But it says, to everything there is a season.
Oh, yeah.
And a time to every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to pluck up that which has been planted.
That's right.
A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down.
That's right.
And a time to build up. A time to weep. A time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to cast away stones. A time to gather stones. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to get, a time to lose, a time to keep, a time to cast away, a time to rend, a time to sow, a time to keep silent, a time to speak.
Yes.
A time to love.
That's right.
A time to hate. A time of war and a time to peace. My sisters and brothers, what time is it? What time is it? I leave you with this interpretation from the Holy Quran. It says, we say, my prayer. We say it in Islam. We say, my prayer, my sacrifice, my life and my death are all for God, Lord of all the worlds. No associate as he, and to him do I submit. I say to my people in the struggle, our prayer, our sacrifice, our life and our death is all for God's will, which is for Black people to be free. And our entire prayer, life, sacrifice, and death is for the liberation of our people. We love you. Join this movement and text if you can, 202-699-1046, 699-1046. Text me in my phone, and you can call me in my law office here, 301-513-5445. And Sister Collida will put my email in the chat room. I'm here to fight for justice and to just do my part. Don't let nobody misinterpret. what I'm doing and lie on what I'm doing, you hear from me and you feel the spirit. And you hear our witnesses today.
That's right.
Justice for Emmett Till. Justice for every Black man and woman that has been lynched and murdered and justice hasn't gone by. Justice for our people. And let us also, as we leave, make sure as we go forth where we regard Black life as sacred, all of us. And when we talk about Emmett Till, let us be never any more Emmett Tills anymore at any point in time.
That's right.
Do we want to see the precious lives of our people taken by anyone, by white supremacists, Klan, or racists, or even by our own hands? We love you, and we'll be back next week. It'll be burning hot,
That's
exposing
right.
Mississippi and Emmett Till. And we're going to let this show continue. Come on, Desert Eagle, and everybody coming on. They'll tell us about Akron and the great deeds that this Black Power movement is doing on the ground in Akron and securing our people. And also, we're going to have Miss Elena Porter come up to close us out tonight. She's going to teach us about self-determination.
That's right.
She's going to teach us about reparations. She's going to teach us about how our struggle is going to a higher level. Stay tuned here. We're going to go over to Instagram. Brother Momoja Ajabu and y'all take it to the next level. I love everybody. Stand strong. No justice, no peace, and Black power.
Right.
Right. Indeed. Lord.
Let it keep going. We love y'all, man. It's a historic night. Honor. We try to get on Instagram, brother Cornell West. Let's try it.
Now, how do I do this now, brother?
What you do is you go to Instagram.
I'm
gonna call you. Let me call you on my phone. I'll call you on my other line.
Okay.
I'll call you and walk you through it.
I'm gonna try now, though, brother.
Before you go,
if
brother,
I don't make it, y'all just let me know that I'm there in spirit. I'm there in many other ways. It just didn't make it to Instagram because I couldn't make that transition. That's all. But I salute each and every one of you. I can tell you that definitely.
Brother West, before you go, let me say, even though I didn't get a chance to introduce myself during this call, I want to say it was a pleasure hearing you live, seeing your face. Digitally, face to face, I am an honored fan, and I definitely appreciate the work that you've been doing for these many years. Okay, salute to you. It's a pleasure. Seriously, it's my honor.
Oh, I salute you, my dear brother.
I appreciate it.
I think this is my brother right here.
Yes, it is.
This is my dear brother. No, I salute you. I think this brother Malik right here trying to. How you doing, my brother? No, so I'm gonna follow your instructions here just a little bit now.
To Instagram, I'll post it on this.
So how do I get to Instagram?
Have the
Elder Ajabu. Elder, you there? I see you. I can't hear you. You're muted.
Yes, sir.
How about that?
I hear you, but your signal's not that strong. Gotta say something else.
It's broken up. It's always the case on this. If I cannot get a good connection, can you take over and moderate for me on this meeting?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because we're gonna just do a briefing on what happened in Akron. I mean, because that was a movement. That was between Friday and Saturday. It was absolutely epic. It will be my pleasure to go into Akron, Ohio. I was trying to wait on Talib. I thought he was going to be on here. If not, I got no problem. I would do my best to give the accolades of praise to all those who had anything and everything to do with Akron. I mean, it was epic. It was epic. But I'll leave it to you, Elder.
Yeah, if I always have problems with connections, so I'm anticipate that now. And the lineup is for there to be reports from Mike Payne, John Barnett, Carrie Am from Mississippi, Patrick Alexander, Talib Atunda, Dean Teriak Johnson, and Yashuk and then to close it out with Lane Porter. So if you could just do that lineup for me, because I know my technology is always bad. So can you just do that lineup for me? And would appreciate it. Black Power.
Right power. Okay. First of all, let me say what's going on to everybody here on this current Zoom. I see you there. Of course, my brother, General Mike Payne. What's up, Black Power?
How you doing, brother? How you doing?
Black Power, General.
Oh, Black Power to you, King.
Yeah, absolutely. I see Malik is still in here. He's in the background. I know he's on the IG. What's going on, Crystal? I see you. Black Power sister. My brother Patrick Lumumba. Oh, I'm sorry, Crystal. Go ahead. I see you unmuted.
Just saying Black Power.
That's what's up.
I'm not in my lineup. I didn't hear my name. I don't know if I need to be on here tonight.
Nah, just giving you props for being in attendance on the Zoom. I know you wasn't there in Akron, so that's fine. But shout out to my brother Patrick Lumumba. What's going on, brother? How you doing? Patrick Alexander, Patrick Lumumba. You there, brother? There you go.
Power and peace, brother. Power and peace.
Power
yeah,
and peace.
I'm here, brother.
What's
I was multitasking, bro. I had the opportunity to listen in for an hour or so with the great and esteemed Dr. Cornell West, getting a chance to hear Malik. He was down here with us last week down in Greenwood, Mississippi. We began to hash out this thing with Emmett Till, man. So yeah, I'm here, brother. So I'm just here, just listening in whenever y'all need me. I'm here.
All right. I'm gonna make a segue. And I see you there, Mental Son. I know you moderating, so I already know you to check in with you. Just give me a time check whenever necessary. I want to do a segue because I know there's supposed to be a couple other people supposed to be on. They're probably running a little late, but we're going to keep the program going. In what way, General Mike Payne, from what you saw in the protests for the justice that is definitely necessary, needed, and deserving for our brother Emmett Till to receive, what correlation can you make between the call for justice for Emmett Till and the current calls for justice as we see in present day? For example, the most current case that we're going to be discussing for a brother like Jalen, who was shot in the back by police while running away in a despicable display of gunfire. Actually, we found out, I think it was like 137 shots. They said somebody, it was like a little bit over 130. I believe that's what it was when I just was up there. It was like 137 shots were actually fired. So what do you see in the atrocious, the despicable display for the disregard of life for this present day, and the correlation for what happened to Emmett Till and the required demand for justice in both? How do you make the correlation? What do you see in the similarities?
Yeah, the violence is definitely a similar situation, but not only just the violence, but I'm seeing the numbness of even our people. They're so used to seeing these things happen that some people just, it's another one and another one and another one. If you look back in the day, like with King Emmett Till, a lot of people there were just more or less scared to speak up. Although you still had some brave souls, like there was a brother named Willie Reed, and of course his great uncle, Moses Wright. But there a lot of people were terrified and scared, and even to this day, we run into a lot of people that are terrified and scared to get involved. They're scared to get involved with the whole situation, and things like this continue. People aren't stepping up, but we still see on the other end the violence and the lack of accountability for the Black human life. The lack of love for the Black human life. It seems to be consistent as being something that's not valued. So that is a horrible situation that we have been stuck in. And that's what I see that is the similar situations between the two.
You know, when I was listening to how the authorities, the powers that be, actually gave her a covering, a hiding, that a hiding that they gave her, that she could be, that all this time she could go on living her best life, having kids, grandkids, work, travel, do this, that, and other, whatever, and they just covered her. Like, so what? This 14-year-old was killed in such a disgust. And you're right. There's a numbness. It's like no matter how bad the death is, there's still this nonchalance. Like, what's the big deal? And it's disgusting to the point where our people, as you said, our people have become even numb to the fact that we can die by the hands of somebody else outside of our communities in such a way. You would think that, and this is no disrespect, I understand, but you would think that whether it's in Mississippi or right there in North Carolina where she was reported to live, that everybody of melanated hue will be out there like, no, bring her to justice. But it's just nonchalance that we've been programmed that this is commonplace for us. That, okay, you know, just another one day, no big deal. You know, regardless of the age, regardless of how the impact of the family, like, who cares? You know, it's like, what do you think would take for us to finally get to that point? Like the necessary give a damn will be in place.
That's really tough because, you know, what we're facing right now is self-preservation. We're facing self-preservation, and that is a big issue. I speak about it all the time. Our people are scared to lose the little that we do have. You know, we're scared to let go of that job. We're scared to, you know, go to jail. Some of us, you know, we're scared of these things. We're scared to have to spend that time away from our children, or whatever your love is in this life. We're scared to lose it, and we're choosing to stay out the way. You know, so for us to do that, it's tough. It's just tough because we have different types of Black people. Let's just, you know, we have to be honest and put that on the table. We have different types of Black people. We even, you know, through all the comments and everything we've been doing with the Raleigh, North Carolina situation, you'll even get some say, well, look, leave that old lady alone. What y'all doing? You know, and it's like, ain't you, what kind of Black are you? You know what I'm saying? What kind of Black are you? What is going on in your mind for you to let that go? You know, and to know the story, to sit there and know and hear Emmett Till's mother say how she had to go from his feet all the way up to his waist and take a break, go from his waist up to his neck and take a break, and then to finally visualize her only son's face and to see his tongue hanged out his mouth, his eye sitting on his side, but you can sit there and say, let that woman go. So it's a thing, you know. I call it the sickness. You know, people that still have the slave mindset, or the people that choose money or that job over the fight. Not saying you have to be in the fight on the front line like all of us, but there's so many different ways to fight, and a lot of us as Black people aren't getting into it. They're not getting in the fight. And we're not saying you got to come out here, grab a gun, and do all the things that, you know, some of us do, but we're just involved. You know, be in the fight. You know, when one thing we see when we see the Caucasian demographic, they, no matter what, they may fight, bicker, whatever, but when it comes to one thing, they stick together. You know, they
Absolutely.
always stick together, whether they disagree, whatever, fight, whatever, they stick together when it comes to keeping their foot on our necks. That is something they typically agree about. And, you know, the problem is we need to unite with our skin. We need to see, there's so many different things we've been divisive over because we've lost our culture, our, you know, whatever, we've lost everything. We've been turned inside out as a people. So when we came out of that, we're looking for all these different things to join and be a part of, you know, whether it's religion, whether it's you know, different communities or whatever, whether we're looking for a nationality. So we're all spreading and doing these different things.
Right.
So then we sit and fight about all this stuff that, you know, does it really matter? It doesn't not. Yeah, but we have to unite with our skin first. If we unite with our skin first and realize that you are my brother, you are my sister, regardless of what, I don't care what you like, love, whatever, you're Black first. If we can get with that agenda first, then we can get together. But everybody, while we're talking about unity, it's hard when you have people that have chosen, you know, whether you're Christian, whether you're Muslim, whether you're LGBTQ, whatever it is, you've separated yourself into different departments and you're fighting for different things, but you haven't fought to even have your human rights yet. So these are the issues, and that's the problem that I see we face. And until we realize this, I think we're going to continue to have an issue.
And we cannot afford to have no more issues like this. And, you know, let's go ahead and segue and let's talk about Akron. Let's talk about Brother Jalen. Let's talk about Sister Journey. Let's talk about Brother, I think his name is Gator or something like that. You know, this whole thing, this whole Jalen situation in Akron, I mean, it's so multi-layered. And the experience that I had up there Saturday, I mean, it was absolutely phenomenal. I want to, during this segment, I really want to pay the city of Akron, the protesters there, the organizers, and of course, my fellow brothers in arms, the due respect and the praises that are due. And when I tell you it is multi-layered and are many, I mean, there was a faction of our brothers that was out there. Shout out to my brother, Talib, Tunde, Huey P. Newton, Gun Club. I mean, you represent it, brother. You represent it out there, you and your first lady. Let's see, I want to put it in some type of order, but I mean, no matter what order I put it in, I mean, it's just so many layers of phenomenal. They first went out there Friday. I remember it all started, we got the Zoom call and we was talking to Blake Sr. Blake Sr., that brother there is, I wish my brother Ghazi was on here too, because Blake Sr. did an interview and the words that brother said, I mean, this man witnesses, you know, his son was shot 7 times in the back. If you're not familiar with the case, his son was shot 7 times in the back in Kenosha. And, you know, he's been an activist on the front line ever since. Himself, the aunt of Breonna Taylor, Tamir Rice's mother, Pressure, he was out there. I mean, y'all all saw the video where they got handled by the police for just doing nothing. I mean, Pressure got busted all up. You saw the video. I mean, right after you finish gunning a brother down that got the whole city in uproar, you take peaceful protesters and shamelessly beat them up while you proudly are a member, the cop, proudly a member of some type of white brotherhood, white supremacist group. I mean, these people are absolutely shameless in the kind of degradation that they just do on a daily basis in the name of the badge, covered by the badge, protected by fellow officers of the badge and higher ups who in police culture. I mean, it's just disgusting. But I'm not going to give them no shine. What I'm going to do is shine on those who did the work and letting the voices be heard. Our mobilization there, as members of the militia community, we organized with them, and we had a perfect marriage for mission. The Bullhorners and the Boots. All right, they wanted their voice to be heard without the improper interruption of the police that hindered their mobility and letting their voices be heard without being compromised by beating up or shot with tear gas. So they said, hey, fellas, can y'all come out here and be a wall around us? I'm paraphrasing, but that's what the overall conversation was. And yes, those of us that was able to make it, we heard the call and we stood there for the charge. And we became a wall around our brothers and sisters as they announce their voices. To give y'all a synopsis of how it all went down. In our conversations with Blake Sr., and on the Zoom call, we had all the necessary people involved. And we put a plan together and we enacted that plan. Some went out on Friday, and it was a small mobilization, some protests and stuff like that on Friday. And it wasn't like it was pointless. Every voice that's going to be heard in bringing attention and awareness to this injustice is definitely salutable. So on Friday, they got together and they made some things happen. Pressure got out of jail. Let it be made known. The revolution will continue. The mobilization will continue. Our voices will be heard. You may have beat us up, but you ain't beat us down. We're still standing erect, and we're going to make this thing happen. We're going to bring awareness to what you've done to this brother, and we're not going to stop until we get justice. So here comes Saturday. I get there on Saturday morning, and it was non-stop since I landed. Oh my God, the organizers there, and I may do some injustice because it was moving so fast. It was moving so fast, but it was moving certain. And we met with a couple of groups. I think it was PSL and I think Freedom Block, I believe the names was. And everybody was working in unity. There was no division. There was no like, we're going to do this and we're going to, everything was succinct. It was a gel. The city of Akron and the protesters there, and everybody worked together. They knew our part. They respected us in our lane. We respected them in their lane. They respected one another in their voices. And together, the city galvanized together and mobilized and made an outcry for the need of justice, which could be heard thunderously. When we walked, in fact, when it came to the police didn't mess with us. It literally, it's like the police was like, you know what? Not today. Not today. We gonna leave them alone. In fact, the only time we saw officers, literally, I swear on everything, the only time we saw officers is the second wave when we was coming back from where we started from. There was 2 officers, I guess they got caught outside on the street and they hurried up and ran into the building. Like nobody, they didn't want nothing to do with us. Now I will tell you, at one point, you could see them, the whole facade of their police headquarters is glass. Yes, they was gearing up. They was gearing up, helmets and everything. We were like, okay, I guess this is the time. But they didn't do anything. They saw us out there. We were let's just say the militia element was on its job. I will leave it at that. We were on our job, and they clearly saw that every man and woman was on their square, and nobody was slack. We were there to secure, and secure we did uncompromisingly. Now let's get into the details. When we marched and listening to the outcry of the people, when we came to this place called Grace Park, it's like we walked there, and in there, everybody took a time, and it was so surreal to hear of the atrocious stories of people, the families that was torn apart from the cop shootings, the beaten up by cops, hospitalized, all kind of bills they had to pay, the struggles that ensued on their families because these cops are just running rogue, just doing whatever they want to do, and are covered with the protections of some type of qualified immunity. How do you qualify to be immune from showing human decency? How do you even write that into a policy that you are qualified to be immune from the indecencies, the hurts, the murders that you enact on other human beings? That somehow or another, you know what? Hey, you can't come after me. You can't sue me. You can't do anything. In fact, this justifies me getting a paid vacation. I mean, isn't that just sick in itself? Isn't that just disgusting? But after that, to hear all of that, I guess that was like the snowball that just kept going. Because after each person said all of that, now it was hot. We just walked the distance. But I'm gonna tell you, when we got up from that park and we started walking back to the police station, the people were so amped up. Oh, it gets better. They were so amped up in their roars. The crowd even got bigger. They was roaring so loud that I thought maybe the buildings were falling out. I mean, the people were like, that's it. We had it. Enough is, damn it, enough. And we want a justice. Before I go any further, Mike Payne, let me ask you something. You've seen plenty of these types of situations. And oh, my brother Talib is here, so he can definitely elaborate on Friday and Saturday, because I'm telling you, I'm gonna get amped when we go into this next part. But brother General, let me ask you something. Why is it that many times, regardless of the degree of the atrocity, we get to this point where we get our crescendo is heard so loud, excuse me, and then all of a sudden it seems like there's a fatigue that comes in, and then all of a sudden the voices get lower and lower and lower and lower, till ultimately nobody's crying out no more, even though sometimes the justice process didn't even start yet and we fizzle out. Why is that?
It's a few reasons, I think a lot of times, once again, when I say self-preservation, people go back to their normal life. People feel, like life just, moves on. Some people get excited. It's almost the same thing as when, you see some of our people just get excited about anything. It's new, it's brand new, it's something to, talk about. It's the hottest topic. Right now, social media likes and thumbs up is the biggest drug out there. It's the biggest addiction. So I think a lot of the people that go out, some some go out with their heart and really care.
Turn bedroom lights up 100%.
So we can hear you in your conversation with Alexa. Good.
But some go out with their heart and they really, they're down for what's going on. They really put their soul into it. Some people going out for different reasons. And, once you get all that together, a lot of that, once that starts dying down and the talk goes away and it's not the hot topic of the month, that's when you see that group of people just automatically drop off, because it's nothing for them to really talk about anymore. They're not going to get any more attention, or whatever they're craving off of it, they're not going to get that. Also, fatigue is real. People do have to go back to their jobs. People have to go back to their children and whatnot. It takes a very special type of individual to continuously be out there and continuously keep pushing and put their own life to the side for someone else's life. As we always talk about, it takes a village, but for us to be able to put those things to the side and look at whoever went under this misfortune, you look at them and say, well, that's my brother, that's my sister. If they're hurting, I'm hurting, so a lot of people don't have that. And a lot of people don't, they're not going to sacrifice their own life in order to help, the next man that much. You know what I mean? They might give them a little something, whatever. But when it starts interrupting their livelihood, then it's like, hold up. So I think a lot of that fatigue sets in and it gets real. But a lot of it is, people with different agendas as well.
That's what's up. Brother Talib, General Talib, Atunde, welcome to the conversation.
Appreciate that. Black power, all power to the people.
All power to the people, my brother.
All power to the people. Talib, let me ask you a question. Going to Friday, because I wasn't there for Friday, and I want to do justice to everybody that participated in it, especially the people of Akron, Ohio, because they were absolutely phenomenal during this mobilization. So go ahead and tell the people what, because you was one of the first on the ground for Friday after we had the meeting about mobilizing in order to assist them with the securities that they asked for. So go ahead and tell everyone what you saw on Friday and how that situation worked out, especially after Pressure got out of jail and things like that. So the floor is yours, General.
Thank you to be here, and
hold on, Talib. You're in a bad area. You're in a bad area. You're skipping.
We turned on the Wi-Fi.
You're good to go, because there's so many important elements that, especially this Akron, Ohio one. I know a lot of people seen many things in Louisville, all of this stuff, and you know, so many places. Yeah, it's a lot better, but I definitely want people to understand, especially Saturday. Saturday was one day, but I mean, it was so much power just in Saturday alone. But we got to build on it, because Friday was Saturday's foundation. So let's let the people know about the awesome, powerful things that took place in Akron in just that short time, and it all happened because of unity. So the floor is yours, brother. Go ahead and speak about Friday, because I wasn't there.
Friday. I'm gonna skip first. Thank you for allowing me to be here. I'm gonna skip past some of the smaller details. Upon arrival,
yeah, you muted yourself. Try again. You muted yourself. You muted again. Go ahead.
My apologies. So, upon arrival, we had a briefing about exactly what we was going to do. Shout out to Jordan Tedlin for having his people there, and everyone else that participated as well. We discussed exactly what we was going to do. We found the location. It was actually a visual for my apologies, everyone. I still got a family and kids and different things like that. So, upon arrival, we discussed exactly what we was going to do when we got there. When we got there, there was a visual being held for Jalen Walker. The community was out there at the park. We decided to secure and put a perimeter up around all of the protesters, the family, and the people who was out there participating. They had a visual for about at least 30 to 40 minutes. It was well organized, well put together. It was well organized, very well put together. We did a march around the community and everything like that. We performed a perimeter around the protesters and everything like that. We didn't have any type of opposition. The police didn't show up, and it was in. Let me just skip to the important stuff. The important part of this is, upon us providing security, there was little to no police presence whatsoever the entire weekend, especially on Friday. I know a lot of people say they consider that to be marching and different things like that. The job that we performed out there was to provide security.
That's right.
That allowed them to be able to have a voice. That allowed them to relax. That took a lot of the pressure off of the people who was out there organizing. They was very appreciative. We didn't come out there to take control of anything. We was there to be assistance to them. We wanted to know how we could be an asset to them. We came out there to perform a job, and we did it very well. And they wanted us to come back and continue doing that. But Friday, it wasn't a lot. We did dismiss right at nightfall and allowed them to continue on about their way. But it lasted for almost 2.5, almost 3 hours. It was a wonderful thing. It was a beautiful thing. I'm glad that we did that on Friday as well. That allowed us to make great connections with different people who was there, from all races, actually. I know we consider it a Black Power thing, but sometimes we need the entire community in order to make a lot of these things happen.
You know, to that point, he's absolutely right, y'all. On Saturday, to be honest with you, that harmonious holla was a it was a gumbo of all different nationalities, all with the same purpose of shouting out and shouting against this level of brutality that happened to that young brother. I mean, even the organizers that organized the whole thing, they worked together and they were multiracial. There was whites, Asians, blacks, Hispanic, all together, coming together for the cause. Now, our job, as Talib said, because we spoke to them prior to mobilizing, and we got a clear understanding what we're coming to do. We're not coming to holler for your city. We're not part of the local community's demands. We're not. We're just going to be the wall around you as you go ahead and enact your cry for justice in the volumes that you want to, and we're going to ensure that you will be safe. Okay, there will be no more guys in blue running up and snatching you and tear gassing you, not on our watch. That will not happen. And trust me, they were out there. They just didn't mess with us. They saw us there. They saw us there around the whole mobilization, making sure that they were straight. And the people there, and a lot of times people get misconstrued. They say to us, why did you go out there? What was y'all mission out there? Well, just to give y'all some homework. If you've ever been in the military, you understand this. And for those of you who are now part of these two ways, Second Amendment, militia, whatever adjective you want to use, there is a briefing that is done. It ain't like we just jumped the boogie and did what we wanted to do. No, we talked to those there and we established a rapport and we got a clear understanding of the services the community wanted from us. They understood in the briefing, hey, y'all want us there. We come with an additional level of agitation to the situation. So because of that, here's the rules that must be complicit for us to be able to help you engage in this process. So the community is aware, at least the keynote heads are aware that, hey, we want this additional level of security. It comes with these associated risks, but it is necessary for us to get our agenda out there. But the whole thing was done in respects. It was done decent and in order with an agenda. And our part was just to secure. We're not there. Some of us came from somewhere everywhere. And the people appreciated it. There's one of the things that sometimes people feel underappreciated in this work because it doesn't come with money. It doesn't come with a lot of accolades of praise, but just to hear people say, if y'all wasn't here, we wouldn't be able to say what we have to say. And we thank you so much because we got emboldened. We feel secure now that y'all are here. And because y'all were here and gave us this, we were able to get our objectives out. And see, to some people, that's like, man, that's a minor victory. But you know what? That was major for them. It's about community service. And they appreciated that. What would you say to that, Salih?
The appreciation level was, oh my goodness, I've never felt so welcome a day in my life, because usually what happens is when you go into cities, especially when you're not from there, when you go into cities and you're not from there, they usually feel like you're a burden or something of that nature. Like you're trying to come into the city, take over, right, and trying to steal the spotlight, coming here for clout. But they welcomed us in like as if we were family. Like we've lived there. They offered us food, shelter, housing, gas, everything. Anything we needed, they volunteered to give it to us. You get what I'm saying?
Stay extra too. To stay more days too.
They gonna pay for, if you want to stay some more, we'll pay for your rooms, your hotels. You know, we got bail money, we got everything that you need. And this right here tells me how unprepared we are as a movement, unfortunately. And that's not to be funny or step on anybody, but whenever we go somewhere, that's the type of level of response we should have with each other. Hey, I got you on the rooms. I got you on this. They didn't know me, but for maybe a day and a half, and volunteered to feed me full meals. Said, just for you, I will get you what you want to eat. Tell me exactly what it is, what you like, what you don't like. They're bringing food, resources, raisins. They're grabbing bread, anything you need to stay healthy, alive, hydrated, and safe.
They brought us into their circles, into their safe houses, brought us around people that they never met us a day in their life, but because we were there, they trusted us just off of the sincerity that we showed them immediately. And I say this because we can't help communities if we're not interacting with the communities. We can't just go in there as a force and try to take over everything. We have to go in there and communicate with the people, get to know them, and build, again, a good rapport with them so that we can establish forward operating bases there. So if something ever happens again, we can go there. Also, we can make reaches out to other people, say, hey, we need to go to this city to do this. Can you help us get there to do that? And that's how you build connections and different olive branches out to different people in communities. But we don't do that because we're so selfish in our ways sometimes. But this showed me how unprepared we are as far as certain things go, and we need to take these things down, and can't be discussed on here, but generals and other leaders, there are going to be things that we're going to pass on of what we learned from this, and I hope that we implement it going into the future. But it was a beautiful thing. Never experienced nothing like it, from the motor pools to the
no, don't go to the motor pool. That got to be the cherry on top. We got to say that. Okay. That's the cherry on top. That I never, man. Okay, Mike Payne, Talib, myself, we were all on the initial call that all sparked this off in order to be of service to them. First of all, you always got to give praise to what praise is due. First of all, that call that we was all on with all the generals and stuff like that, number one, that was epic. That was historical. And I gotta say, from the very beginning, this brother has been, you know it, Talib, we would have had all kind of three-way conversations about this. There was arguments about this, about how to go about it, but he has stuck to his guns about wanting to see the solidarity across the board. Because of him, the coalition was born. Because of him, the declaration was born. Because of him, all of those people joined to get, I mean, I got to give a shout out to my brother, General Ghazi. That's my brother. I love you, brother. I appreciate you. And you know I got your back. I got your back, because the amount of people that have all come together now under this umbrella is because that brother is nonstop. He's truly a fisher of men. He's a fisher of men, bringing it all. Like Mike Payne, when we was on that call, and just to look at that matrix of all those people, this, that, and other, all together, like what did you get out of that? How did you feel about that?
I just think it's a beautiful thing. Anytime we can get together and we can just, like I always say, we don't always have to agree with everything. No, that's not the goal. But to
Mike Payne, I don't like your hat.
Right. You don't like it though?
I do. I'm just messing.
But no, yeah, we don't have to do that. We just have to have the same goal and strive for the same interest and just love on one another and respect what each of us bring to the table. If we all brought the same exact thing to the table, then where will we be? You have to have these differences, and bringing those differences together is what makes us so powerful. So when we sitting on a call like that and everybody's excited and ready to work and ready to just put the ego aside. That's what I always say. We got to put the ego aside, and I thank General Talib as well for going and doing what he did out there in Akron. I mean, that's people don't realize how detailed and how much it takes. People don't always just put that together, and you as well, that you're always helping out and always showing up. Those things don't come easy. You don't just get that from every individual, even your friends, your family. You know what I'm saying? So it's
your down chain.
Right, or your down chain. Yeah, it's a tough thing to really to come in contact with. So when we are on a call like that, and you see everybody operating on one accord and getting together the way we did, no, you can't do nothing but salute it. So I love it, and I love to see it.
And Talib, you got anything to say about that? About
what specifically? What he's talking about?
About like I said, I brought it back to just the foundation, just the call that we was all on. That call, the majesty of all of us just being on that call and talking to, I think it was Demetrius Saunders, talking to Blake Sr. I don't think Pressure was on that call. Was he? Was Pressure on that call?
I'm not sure.
I don't remember if Pressure was on that call. But I do remember Demetrius and I do remember Blake Sr. But on that call, just to lay down the logistics, everybody respected each other, threw in their ideas or whatever it is, like just to see all that, because it was a bunch of us. It was a lot of brass on that call. Like what does that do for you? What was it a testament of?
It was a testament of me believing in what I pulled and pushed for over a year and a half ago, bringing Babu to the table, bringing Amun to the table, bringing Malik to the table, bringing AJ Frazier to the table, bringing all these different leaderships together, because we had division before Grandmaster J, NFAC, and all of that showed up. There was a huge gap in division that everybody was doing their own thing, separate. Even if we don't do everything together, even if it's 3, 4 of us doing something together, it's still powerful. We all might not be on the same wavelength sometimes. It's okay if some of us sit some things out. We all got our lanes and different callings for different things to do certain things, and that's okay. And when we realize that everyone has a certain lane that they're in, we can move a whole lot better. Just like in the military. Everybody's a soldier first, but everybody, I'm Army, ex-military Army. I was a 92 Alpha, automatic logistics. You know what I mean? So you had a 92 Alpha, you know what I mean? Then you had a 92 Yankee. Both kind of did the same similar jobs, but I could do more than the 92 Yankee could. You get what I'm saying? But we're still in the same area, but everyone still had an MOS and a specialty that they specialize in. We're all soldiers. Not everybody is a cook. Not everybody is infantry. Not everybody's administrative. You get what I'm saying? It's okay to say, hey, I'm a soldier. I can get down with the get down. You know what I mean? But hey, I'm just going to stick in this kitchen. I can whip you up a good meal while you're out there in that field. And that's okay for everyone to recognize who they are, but also know that we're Black first. That's the soldier part. When we put soldier on it, we're Black first. That's the soldier part. Everything else comes MOS and skills. And when we realize what everybody's specialty and skills is, we will work a whole lot better. And that call showed me that we all have different information, different skills, different input, and different things to help each other out. And it's okay if everybody doesn't go, but that just showed me that we can still do this and that we can continue on with the mobilization and fighting for our people. And that was beautiful for me. I love the call.
Absolutely. And to your point, let me say something. Let me say something. Y'all know every now and again I got to get on my soapbox. But this is not a bad thing. Brothers and sisters, if you're part of these organizations, and we know not everybody in these organizations has a gun or is even qualified to have one, but that does not dismiss you from being qualified to serve. Brother Blake Sr., he had about maybe 6 people with him, maybe about 7, including Cortez and everything. They were all dressed in black, all masked out, whatever, and not one pistol on person, not one. But when I tell you, they were some valuable assets to the mobilization. They were out there scouting, looking, this, that, and other, coming back with intel, letting us know.
No doubt.
I mean, they were on it. If it wasn't for them, their presence, just being an extra set of eyes, doing this, being able to be, it was so essential. They were still essential servicemen and women that helped the mobilization. Stop feeling that if you don't have a gun, you can't go. I am nothing without a rifle in my hand. I'm nothing without a pistol in my hand. I will tell anybody, I'm the weapon. I'm the weapon. I tell it, hey, hands are hardware. How do you want it? I'm the weapon. The gun, that's just an accessory. The knife, an accessory. Those are just accessories that I use. They administer whatever functions I delegate from them to make them do. But I'm the weapon. You are weapons. If you want to be there in the service and the protection of your people, you are the weapon. Long as you are there and willing to be of service, that makes you a valuable asset on the ground. Stop feeling as though, well, I want to be out there. I want to be seen with the guns. I want a shotgun. I want a rifle. I want this. No, just be ready to be of service. Let the greatest amongst you serve. You may be the eye, you may be just the pair of eyes that was needed to see somebody on the roof, and you ain't got gun one in your hand. But because of that intel, y'all gotta understand the military spends so much money on just information before they send the fighters. They need the intel. Hey, we need some scouts, lookouts. We need information. How many vehicles? What's this, that? So all of those are essential roles. Never diminish the presence of yourself with the community because you have decided to demote yourself because you feel inadequate without accessory in your hand. You got a pair of eyes, you got a mind that can think, you got ears that can hear, you got a mouth that can relay information. Hey, you are an asset. Never allow yourself to diminish the quality of your service because you don't have an extra appendage on your body. All right? So don't be afraid. I'm telling you, those people that, as far as I know, Blake Sr., he ain't no military man, but I'm telling you, those people, Talib, help me out here. Those people, he had about 7 people with him. In fact, it was just like one, maybe 2 dudes, and the rest were female. And they were ice water.
Mostly female, and they was ready, took orders very fine, didn't back down from nothing. Even my local chair, Miguel, he didn't have not one weapon.
Not one weapon, because he's the weapon.
Not one weapon in his hand, but he was frontlining, leading the charge.
Leading the charge. And let me tell you what else happens. The synergy that takes place. You know, a lot of times we have these Zoom calls and we have chat rooms and stuff, and we don't get a chance to see one another often. And I can't remember everybody's name. I know Brother Tyrell. I just can't remember everybody's name. But the brothers from Cleveland that came down, the brothers from Ohio, whatever, when we see each other, man, it's like, man, oh, you're Desert Eagle. What's up, brother? Hey, Tyrell, what's happening? It's like, and then we get in and we fall in, and it's like, yo, it's so good to see you. I've heard your voice. I've read your text. I've seen your logo on Zooms, but just to be there and just like, yo, brothers, I've talked to you. I admire the things that you contribute to a conversation and meetings, but to know that now I could serve with you in community calls, that does something. That bridges the gaps. Go ahead.
Can I piggyback off what you're saying? And I'm glad you brought that up. And this is, I'm not going to say the person's name who said it to me, but it's very important that we show up, especially when we got these 5 stars and we got these titles as generals or nationals or chairmen or president or whatever you call yourself as the head of your organization. Someone told me, hey, thank you for coming to Ohio. You are the first national of an organization, head of an organization to ever show up in our state and our city. They are looking for us to show up. Even if we just got to come for an hour, 30 minutes, just to show up means so much to a lot of people out here who follow us on social media. So we need to make it our goal, obligation. We have an obligation to at least show up sometimes to wherever these people need us at. We can send representation, that's fine, that's cool. But when we show up, even if you don't think that highly of yourself, other people do. People see you, they watch you, they love you, and they look up to us, a lot of us. You get what I'm saying? It still throws me off. I still haven't got used to it. Then when people be like, oh man, oh my God, I'm so glad to meet you. And they say it like 20 different times.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's a humbling feeling to yourself to realize, well, I didn't even realize, I look up to you. I didn't know you was looking up to me. You know what I'm saying? I was waiting to meet you. You waiting to meet me. Right. These are important moments that remind you exactly of who you are and what you stand for, and remind us that we got to stay on our square and stay on point because you never know who is watching you. So I say all that to say we have to start showing up to these cities, show up to these states where it may not be the biggest story, it may not be the biggest news story. Sometimes we just got to show up, and it makes a big difference, and it changes the energy and the motivation of the people in that community just to show up and show out for them at least one time.
Right. and I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna pass something on to Mike Payne. Y'all gotta understand something. Too many times we have these internal debates on pretty much what's the takeaways, what's really the goal. I ain't kill nobody. I ain't like what did the militia get out of it? I think a lot of times we forget that we are here to protect and serve our communities. It's not always about the sandwiches in the free lunch line or some clothes that you're no longer wearing anymore that you're giving somebody else, whatever. It ain't just that. It ain't just, necessarily breaking up a fight or rescuing a sister from a domestic situation, whatever. Sometimes the community as a whole has an agenda that sometimes I'm sorry, I was reading something. Sometimes the agenda is just to serve the community for the community's needs. We can't always dictate what that is. And in this case, they just wanted us to be security, and we respected that. Mike Payne, the word is that this thing in Akron is not gonna die down anytime soon. And for the energies that we saw, especially when we've separated each other, when we separated from them on the last deal that they asked us to be a part of, they was not on 10, they were still on 20. And it don't seem like they're gonna ever turn down for what? They want justice, and they're not gonna stop. So what do you think, as a general in this, what we need to do to be more so at the ready, because they're gonna need our help. It's clear that this thing is not, it didn't start and stop with just Friday and Saturday. It's going to keep on going. So what measure of mobility do you think the conglomerate of militia can really do to be of service to the people at this point?
Well, like you said, one thing is going to be dependent on their needs at the time. Whatever is really needed. The end goal is, of course, justice, and to get the individuals that did this horrific shooting indicted, jailed, fired, the whole 9 yards. But I think as far as us, what we have to do, I think the best thing will probably, so that we don't burn our units out, is to do individuals going there at different times, kind of almost on a schedule, if you will, or like brother or General Talib said, everybody does have different resources and different abilities. Use those abilities at will, and depending on what they need, use those abilities to really get the job done. Different people do different things. You got almost like when you have the point guard versus the center. You ain't gonna have the center way up on the 3-point line shooting. You know what I'm saying? It don't make sense. Put him where he's best used at, and I think that may be a big thing that'll help too. But depending on how many of us are around to do what, I think one thing would be to send the different waves, so that way people can restock on finances, because at the end of the day, it's going to cost a lot. It's good, back and forth, plus all the other work that they have to do. So there's a lot going on. It's just like, I know I'm going to have to go down to Raleigh again. Recently, I'm due in August to Tulsa. It's constant. I got to go up to Richmond, which isn't too far, so I'm not too worried about that one. But there's just a lot going on, and we may have to go back down to Mississippi again soon. So it's a lot. It's a lot going on, and then of course we have Akron. So there's a lot of stuff going on, plus whatever's going on in your city as well that you need to take care of.
Yep.
So I think the best thing, in short, I guess, would be just, to really keep the lines of communication open. Everybody has to be, general to general, and commanders to all commanders or whatever. We have to be realistic, and we have to be honest. That's the big thing. Be honest with one another, and be honest with yourself. You know, don't get to saying that you can just be everywhere, do this, that, and the third, and you can't. Because we know sometimes different things hit. You may not be able to get off work if you work. You may not, your finances, whatever. It could be anything. But whatever it is, the job still has to get done. So as long as we can communicate and we can, figure out who can get down here and how many do we need for each group to be there to successfully complete each mission, I think we can make it happen.
Right. And to that, we're going to start wrapping it up soon, but there's a few highlights just want to touch on right quick. But to that point, the greatest success that came out of this weekend was the fact that it was a number of us from different organizations banded together for the purposes of the community. And that's what made it. There was no one flag. There was no one flag flying, this, that, and the other, grandstanding and this, that, and the other. There was no grandstanding. We just stood grand. And that's what mattered. All right. And the community loved that. But there was another tragic death. There was 2 other tragic deaths that took place. The niece of the fiance of Brother Jalen, little girl by the name of Journey. She was shot. A brother shot into a crowd while they was actually doing a vigil. Right after they did a vigil for another young brother who died a year before, they just released balloons and everything. And then nobody knows the cause why, but he shot up the whole family gathering. And the young girl, Journey, 4 years old, she passed away. There was another brother who actually passed away from his injuries from being shot that day too. I think it's Gator or whatever. I can't remember his name. It's not in front of me, but there was a procession that we did in order to go to her neighborhood and or neighborhood or where she died at or whatever, where it took place at or whatever, in a little lot. And the crowd, the procession of cars, it must have been about 200 cars out there. I mean, it was the greatest. I mean, we swerving, honking horns, speeding, flashing lights, everybody out.
Hanging out the windows.
Hanging out the windows, sunroofs, whatever. I mean, excuse my language, y'all, but really, it was no fucks given. I mean, blocking off roads. I mean, the whole bit, blasting music, whatever. Say your name, Trey. I mean, it was electric. I mean, it was like, yo, these people are not turning down for nothing. And the beauty about that wasn't a young girl, a young brother that got shot by a cop. The beauty of that was that mobilization was to take responsibility to say that we need community policing within our own self. It's like, nah, it's against the enemies, both foreign and domestic. On our watch, a brother did this to this young girl. It wasn't a cop. It was a brother that shot up the crowd, this, that, and the other. And we're standing for justice for that too. That's what they wanted. And it was like, that's beautiful. It wasn't just like, oh no, we just want to go after the white cop. They were like, no. We tired of this. Even in our own hood, this has got to stop. So that was absolutely beautiful. So this is Malik's Zoom. We're going to go ahead in 1 minute or less. I know there's so much more about Akron. We're going to do y'all a service and try to post this because we got tons of video, tons of pictures, tons of everything. It was just absolutely beautiful. Shout out to Blake Sr. His first interview with Fox 5 when we was there at Grace Park. I mean, that man is a ton of wisdom. When he broke down, one of the most poignant things he said, he says, if you're not ready to give it all for this revolution, if you're not ready to give your life, if you're not ready to sacrifice it all, go home. We don't need you here. We don't need you in this fight. So all of you who want to wave the flag, wear the patches, just wear the stars, wear the whatever, wear the stripes, whatever, and you say you at the service of the people, if you're not ready to give it all, because you see the enemy is taking all, if you're not ready to bear it all for your people, stay home. We don't need you. Drop out of ranks. Disenroll. We don't need you. We don't need the dead weight. We don't need that. Stay home. Stay out the formations. Stay off these calls. Stay out of this whole business. That brother said that, and it's like the earth moved, man. He was in tears when he said it. He already seen what they did to his son, and he out there still fighting for others, standing for justice, and he could barely stand on his own 2 feet. He's handicapped. And for those who didn't know, the cops beat him till he had a seizure. He'd been seizure free for 7 to 8 years, he said. He said, but by the time they finished with him, he had a seizure. And he's still out there. He could barely stand up, ready to go before the press and still say, fuck the police. What's your excuse? Why can't you be there? Why can't you stand grand? So, in a minute or less, out of respect to the time and respect to the moderator, Mental Son, I'll start with you first, Mike Payne. Anything that you got to say to the people, to your comrades, and cause inspiration, or in the form of rebuke?
Oh, no, I just want to thank everybody on this call. You know, really appreciate the work, and keep doing your thing. I got to get ready to go myself anyway, but yeah, you know, thank you. You know, this work, like you said, it's an acquired taste. You know what I mean? It's an acquired taste.
Right.
I tell people, yeah, it ain't for everybody. You know,
Right.
That's why I said there's always different ways to get into the movement and do different things and to help out. Like you said, some people, yeah, you got to stay out of that front line. You got to move over to do something else. But my thing is just as long as you fight, as long as you're fighting, you know, because we're attacked in so many different ways, and we have to attack back and defend in so many different other ways. So let's keep doing what we're doing. All power to the people. I appreciate you.
All right. General Talib, what you got for the people?
Mike Payne, you made me go put my flag up behind me. I'm just
Gotta have it, brother. Gotta have it.
Just messing with you. But again, I appreciate being on here, Mike Payne. I love you, brother. I always see the work that you out there doing. I love what you're doing. You're right down the street from me, so we're gonna run into each other eventually. I know you already know my coach here, Bricks or whatever. He tells me nothing but positive things about you. So I had to get that out of the way.
Yeah, good brother, good brother.
But to wrap it up about everything that happened this weekend, I've been to a lot of different mobilizations. I've done a lot of different things in the community, but I have to say Akron was one of the most phenomenal experiences I have ever experienced out my entire life in this movement. Like, I've done a lot. Tulsa was great, but Akron, Ohio, man, the love, the people, the sincerity that's there, the energy that came from the community, and that alone is what was the beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It's one thing for us to do it amongst the 2A family and all that, but when you're in the community that's together, it reminds you about what we do this for. And when you see that type of energy from the people in the community, it's like, yeah, I gotta keep doing this. I gotta keep doing this. And that's the beautiful part of it. So much happened this weekend in Akron, Ohio. We could talk for hours about it, from the motorcade with 200 people to the unity of seeing organizations that barely talk to each other come together and actually work things out with a smile on their face. We actually helped the community unite even more because we was able to come in and see what they couldn't see about themselves. And sometimes it takes a pair of fresh eyes to show people certain things that they never saw before. So we brought so much unity to that community and to ourselves. Working with other organizations in Ohio. Shout out to all those people up there that made the sacrifices. There were people who rode buses, metro, picked up other people, donated, helped out with hotels. That's what community looks like. That's what unity looks like. And that's what Black love looks like. And I hope to see it coming in the future. And I believe that we can do it as a generals. Me, you, Mike Payne, all of us, I believe we can all do this together. And I can't wait to do it with you, brothers. Love you. Black power, all power to the people.
All right. And real quick, special shout out to both Talib and Ghazi, because they were the consummate liaisons to those who were to the organizers, to the two groups. What was it? PSL and
Freedom Block. PSL and Freedom Block. Shout out to Ghazi. Ghazi, you did your thing this weekend, brother. Real life. You did your thing, Ghazi.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Yes, those people loved Ghazi. They love it, man. Like, where's Ghazi at? Where's Ghazi? We need more Ghazi. Yo, shout out to Ghazi, man. He's the plug. Ghazi's the plug, man. You had a vision to see us all come together, and brother, by way of your consistency, you are making it happen. We love you for that, man. I'm meeting so many people in the movement from coast to coast, all because you are tenacious about making sure that we stay unified. And brother, you get your roses now. Shout out to you for doing that. Much respect. But to the rest of the militia family, melanated nation, trust me, y'all, it doesn't matter whether you got a gun or not. Get in, serve. Just like Talib said, sometimes an extra pair of eyes, extra pair of hands, whatever. You know what I'm saying? We need you. All right. So let's start making the sacrifices now. All right. Scrape your coins together, get them together now. Because guess what? We just heard that somebody else just got shot in Louisville. It's developing. Well, we don't have time to discuss that now. Let's keep the flow going and keep the readiness going. All right. Do what you got to do. Let the greatest amongst you serve. And of course, make your call and election sure. All right. Peace and love. Black power. Salute.
Black power.
Black power.